All right, everyone. Normally, I pride myself on being a queer, but I'm going to keep it straight with you. I do not want to be streaming today. Not even a little bit. This is fully the editors have alerted me that we are out of YouTube content as stream. Right here today, right now. Oh my god. Because nothing can ever be simple, you know? I finally got my Adderall prescription filled, and what didn't occur to me is that after a month of not taking it would then completely fuck up my sleep schedule. I feel miserable. I feel just dog shit. Just fully like my brain has been wrapped in several layers of tinfoil and microwaved on low for 10 minutes. Just fully toasted. Microwaved, even. Um, oh my god. Are you fully hydrated? I am. Yes, I am fully hydrated. You always say this? Yeah, well, you know, the life of a streamer is immense suffering. You know how it is. Vosh is vibrating in the overfocus zone. Yeah, there's something very specific to Adderall. I'm sure this probably feels similar to taking too much caffeine, though I wouldn't know, where you feel dog shit and exhausted, but you're also vibrating. That's the zone that I'm in, and it's not really a pleasant zone. Um, but yeah. All right. Is it unpleasant or a net neutral? It is unpleasant, but we're still here for the content. Okay, do you think we could start with some very low stake stuff before we get into all the high stake stuff? Let's just keep it real nice and easy, simple and breezy at the very beginning. Somebody emailed me this. I thought it was kind of interesting. So a while ago, like a long while ago, I did a segment on, and this sounds like a very online topic, but I actually think it's quite important. The over sexualization of femboys. So, most women are feminine, you know? It just happened to work out that way. And women get sexualized plenty, and I don't want to minimize the fact that they are. You know, women get catcalled all the time. However, a woman being feminine, which is kind of their default state, you know, it's expected to be at least, is not in and of itself always treated like a kink or a sexual activity or an expression of sexual desire. Again, I know because a lot of people are going to come at me being like, you know, well, they'll catcall anyone. I know. But generally speaking, right? If you see a woman and they're dressed in a feminine way, they could be doing that in a business environment. Like, that's like a normal thing. This is not the case with guys, right? Femboy aesthetics, when guys dress feminine, that is considered like a sex thing. That's a porn category, okay? Fem girls is not a porn category, all right? It's women, you know? It's just broad, it's a very broad umbrella. Femboys are. Femboys are like a hypersexual archetype that reveals a lot of really interesting stuff about double standards when it comes to our willingness to sexualize. There's a lot of implicit sort of misogyny and transphobia there. The idea that if a guy is wearing feminine clothes, there's something deviant and subversive and therefore deliberately inciting about it, you know? If a woman wears a dress, well, yeah, women wear dresses, you know? But if a guy wears a dress, they're saying something. They want you to notice. And to some extent, there is some truth to that, obviously. The more you dress outside of the socially normalized zone, the more likely it is that you're making a conscious statement about it, right? But that gets like really heavily sexualized. Anyway, the reason I'm going on about this is I think that's bad, not because I think sexualizing people is innately bad, but because treating guys wearing feminine clothing as a kink will sort of like skew that sort of mode of representation almost entirely towards pornography in a way that probably isn't good for the community, right? Like, if you want to normalize the ability for guys to dress in a feminine way just because they want to, and you know, you want it to be not weird, it is a bit weird if that's always like a porn thing. Anyway, the reason why I'm talking about this is because of League of Legends. I was emailed this Reddit thread. The objectification of male champions from the official Riot account on Twitter feels really icky to me. So apparently recently a skin pack came out. I guess they're like I guess it's like femboy K-pop, like it's a guy or whatever. Um, they're a boy band. Yeah, yeah, it's like the KDA thing, right? Let me see if I can find KDA boy band lol. Just give me the general thing here, okay? Is it not? What are they called? League's new boy band looks ripped out of Arcane. What is it called? Why would it? Why would they not just give a name? Is there not a name? Heartsteel? Heartsteel. Okay. I feel like it shouldn't have been that difficult. It's a fucking League of Legends ass name. Fucking stupid. Goddamn. Let me see. Where are we? Here we go. Wow, how cute. You know, I make fun, and I do think that League is a shit game, but the artists who work at Riot have always put in their best. So yeah, they all look great, I guess, whatever. So the reason why there's a Reddit thread here is because the League of Legends account was openly posting thirsty shit about the guys and their designs. Does anyone have the technology to make this possible? And it's reaching through a screen to touch the abs of the guy. Me, if thirsting for fictional characters was illegal, and then they're in jail. Get it? So, not very impressive stuff by the standards of like general thirst posting online, but it was the official account, which begs the question, would they have done this for female characters? To which the obvious answer is no. No, there's a much more even-handed sort of practice when it comes to the many sexy female character designs that there are in League of Legends, presumably because people would call that out as being kind of weird and misogynistic and sexualizing, whereas if it's a guy, then it's more acceptable. And we see this in our day-to-day like all the time, right? Again, not to say men have it worse when it comes to sexualization. They don't. But I think that people generally are under the impression that there's like a wider range of acceptable sexualization when it comes to guys than there is with girls, you know? Like, most people, I think, understand that you can't, like, hassle or grope female strippers, for example. But male strippers, from what I've heard, get groped all the time by women, like bachelorettes or like even older women or whatever, because it's like, oh, they're a guy, you know? There's less of an assumption of predatory intent, so there's more like an acceptable range of behavior in the perceived, you know, in the minds of people who are doing that kind of stuff. I'm sure everyone has at some point in their life experienced that kind of double standard, right? Where you either it's happening to you or to somebody else, and it's like, oh, if that happening to a guy is like fine. But if it happened to a girl, you know, we see versions of this all over the place. You know, a girl hitting a guy in a sitcom is funny, but a guy hitting a girl is abusive and fucked up. You know, a guy making sort of unrequited sexual advances at a girl is like creepy and predatory, but a girl making unrequited sexual advances at a guy, that's kind of girl bossy. Like we've seen that, right? Where it's like, oh, haha. Here's a female character and she's like casually flirting with guys or like slapping their asses. Look at how girl bossy she is. I feel like a good example of this. Okay, has anyone seen Our Flag Means Death? There's a character on like Pirate Island or whatever. She's a black woman and she's like a boss, like a gang boss on the island. And one of the jokes is that she's quite aggressive and masculine, and she has like 30 husbands, and she, you know, like frequently kills them or sexually harasses them or abuses them or like kills people. And this is a joke which only works because the person doing all of that is a woman, right? Like the show generally has a light tone and it's very comedy based. And if one of the characters who's meant to be kind of likable to the audience was like, yeah, I'm a guy and I keep like dozens of sex slaves who are women and I beat and kill them at my leisure, I don't think people would find that very charming, like character wise. But because the person doing that is a woman, it's like, ah, well, she's a girl boss, you see. Does that make sense? Okay, hypers, if you've seen the show and you understand exactly what I'm talking about and you agree. Punching up versus punching down. Yeah, but in the context of that show specifically, it's not punching up versus punching down, right? because she's literally like a crime boss. There's no like she's in charge of the situation completely. But also, I don't like the idea that women are so like categorically problematic. Or sorry, not problematic, that are so categorically oppressed that it's impossible for them to be problematic in that regard. I feel like, I don't know, it does seem kind of weird to me that like the Riot Games, you know, the people who have like PR team and, you know, they have like an entire internal culture of sort of problematic behavior towards women, which has gotten them shit before, wouldn't have internalized some of the lessons on this, I guess. Agree, but I think the same dynamics apply broadly. The only thing I'm saying, okay, the only thing I want to point out here is that I think this is a further expression, though maybe a more benign one, of the same problem that we keep running into over and over and over and over and over again when it comes to intersectionality, where people will basically be like, this behavior is problematic, but only if it's being done by a powerful individual, or sorry, a person who's in like a powerful social group, you know? So we see this all the time. It's like this line of thinking is bad when a white person is doing it. When a black person is doing it, we give them more like credibility. This line of thinking is bad when a cis person does it. When a trans person does it, well, okay, then this. And then likewise between every like dynamic between the oppressed and the oppressor, you know? And I think that's really bad because at that point, you're not really criticizing the underlying logic of the behavior. You're just sort of, you know, you're being very selective about it. I don't think they expected dudes to cry about how sexualized the new character skins are. They're not. People are fine. You know? It's fine. I just think it's interesting to think about. That's it. I don't think that, like, there's this gigantic outrage horde or whatever. People seem to be, you know, largely fine with it. They like the boy band characters. I just think it's something to think about. That's it. Okay, 1 second. I'll do the real segments. Please keep this door closed. All right. All right, everyone ready to talk about the one big conflict? So I wanted to do kind of a general update on the state of affairs with regards to the ongoing genocide in Gaza. I know that people have a very short attention span, but what is happening right now is actually happening like on an incredibly quick timescale. People, I can already see people getting kind of tired of it. It's like, oh, it's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. Yeah, I know. um, you know, wars last years. This will not last years. Gaza is not a separate opposing nation, you know. It's a concentration camp that Israel built the borders around and is now slowly purging from the north down. Some photos have been released. CNN published these, you know, so no Hamas lie whining here. Gaza before, Gaza after. Gaza before, Gaza after. You can really see the highly targeted precision strikes, the U.S.-built weapons Israel is using, which can hit targets within a range of just a couple dozen feet. Really coming in handy here for these extremely targeted, yes, with the surgical precision of a barbarous genocidal monster. Yeah, you see, it's, actually this entire city was actually a secret Hamas base. Yeah, it's really, really bad. It looks like it's been nuked. Honestly, yeah. The level of indiscriminate destruction rivals photos of like Hiroshima or Mariupol in Ukraine, where it doesn't even look like there was a point. It just looks like the effort was to level as much space as possible. You know, it is so difficult to look at this and maintain in your head the impression that Israel is engaging in some kind of targeted and proportional response. It's simply not possible. What's more, we have a sort of updated death toll, though this is now at this point 2 days old. The health ministry in Gaza, which New York Times has helpfully prefixed with Hamas run, has released a list of 6,747 people it said has been killed in Israel's relentless bombardment of the Palestinian territory in retaliation for the Hamas-led raid on October 7th that killed more than 1,400 people in Israel. They released a document with the name, age, and ID numbers of that many people, which included about 2,500 children. Now, again, fog of war, impossible to know anything for sure. However, in terms of like methods of credibly getting across how many people have died, a full registry with everyone's name and ID number is a pretty convincing one. That's pretty good. In fact, I think, hold on. Gaza death count document with that. Because they literally just released the raw document. You can see all the names. Would I be able to find it just by Googling, or would, as is always the case, I have to spend several flow-breaking minutes going over it? You know what, chat? You can find it. Just find me the damn thing when you find it. The Human Rights Watch also agrees with the health ministry. Nice. Yeah, now, right before this list came out, here we go. Right before this list came out, Biden publicly expressed doubt on the number of people who have been killed in Gaza. I think he said offhandedly in a speech, like, we don't even know if those numbers are right, or something like that. I think that's pretty fucking sickening. Now, he did say that before this got released, admittedly, but he is the president. He has significantly more information than we do. We can only really begin to guess at the intel he receives. It is disgusting. Yeah, see page 9 of 212. Now, I have doubted the death count at the hospital strike that we went over specifically, because it beggars belief. 500 people with like no blood or bodies present at that explosion site. You know, we might not get the full like super specific detailed list of everything that has happened at every single point over the course of this conflict for a while, if we ever do get it. But what we do know for sure with great confidence is that the death and destruction is monstrously large. The number of people Hamas killed in Israel has already been paid in blood twice over in Gaza, just counting children who have been killed. Just children. Twice over, just children. You add the adults, it's what, 5 times over? 5 times over. And it's only going to get worse. The ground invasion hasn't even happened yet. It seems Israel has been waiting for something. My guess is they're waiting for more U.S. backing and intel with regards to potential for retaliation from Hezbollah. That's just a guess. There are probably a number of things. I'm guessing that on one hand, Netanyahu is upset that this attack has not led to the Israeli people rallying behind him as a strongman, because that's, he wanted this. Netanyahu wanted all of this to happen. This is something that he's been planning for and waiting for a long time. And I don't think it's going quite how he wanted, so it's possible there's some trepidation there. Obviously, they want American support. From what I've heard, the ground invasion kind of started today. Has it? Has it begun? Updated 2 minutes ago. Well, we love our breaking news here, don't we, folks? Hamas vows full force after Israel steps up Gaza ground invasion. Widened its air and ground attacks in the Palestinian enclave. The Palestinian military said fighters clashing with Israeli troops in areas near the border with Israel after Israel reported intensifies attacks in Gaza. Looks like they're beginning to move in then. So there we go. The death count will no doubt rise from here. They have cut all communications to Gaza. Before, they were working with no power coming from the outside. Now there is just a full information dead zone. Gaza is internet and cell service cut off as Israeli airstrikes build. No witnesses. There are journalists who are no contact now. There are literally Western journalists that are in Gaza. It's like, well, you can't get anything out. The only reason they're doing this is because they want to kill a great many people and they don't want there to be photos or videos. The ground troops will sweep through and will kill and cover up bodies, prevent information from getting out. That's the whole point. yeah, they're maximizing the potential for death and minimizing the potential for coverage. It is as overtly evil as can be. And, because this is all happening so quickly, listen to this. Rolling Stone reached out to a half dozen sources throughout Gaza at major institutions and in private homes. None of the calls went through. So even Western, this isn't like, oh, people can't get their calls through if there's some poor Palestinian. No, this is like nobody. You need to have special localized infrastructure to be able to get information out because, again, like cell signals being blocked, that shit doesn't run on magic. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society, a humanitarian organization affiliated with the International Red Cross, which provides critical emergency medical aid in the region, said they have, quote, completely lost contact with the operation room in the Gaza Strip and all our teams operating there. And through all of this, Western media institutions are still terrified to say what Israel is doing. I've seen multiple news articles now that have said stuff like 27 UN officials killed in battle between Hamas and Israel, or 6 journalists dead in Gaza. Let me put it this way, okay? If Hamas went out there in open air and killed a bunch of Western journalists, no news article would say journalists killed in Gaza. They would say Hamas killed them. But Israel is just indiscriminately airstriking and missile striking the Gaza Strip, and Western media institutions, so terrified of being called anti-Semitic, are just like, people just are dying over there. We lost 27 journalists just died. It could have been a heart condition, could have been who knows? Who could possibly know? Did you hear about Zvi Yezgili claiming the murder of a journalist's family was targeted? I would have to look more into that. Though we know for a fact that the IDF is totally okay with assassinating, Western journalists. So that's not surprising in any way, shape, or form. Died spontaneously in a confusing and non-specific fashion. Correct. Exactly. Thank you. It is monstrous. The death toll as of yesterday had been counted to 7,000. The number is going to keep going up and up. Vosh, a Christian Palestinian, called into the Majority Report today and said 11 of his extended family have been killed in a bombing of the third oldest Christian church in the world. Yes. We often talk about Palestinians in the context of them being like Muslim, this being like a Muslim versus Jew thing. There are some Christian Palestinians, and because they're in the Holy Land, these Christian Palestinians, their bloodlines date back essentially to Christ. There is probably literally no ethnic connection more directly descendant of Christ than these. I mean, they're Christians who have lived in the Holy Land, like family to family, generation to generation, since Christ. Again, I'm not religious, but there's a lot of cultural significance there. That's meaningful. If for no other reason than anthropology. That's not nothing. There are even Jewish Palestinians. Yeah, of course. There are no essential religious associations. Of course, because everything keeps getting worse. There was another thing I was going to add on to this. It was I'm blanking out in it, but that's okay. There's a lot that has to go into this segment. So God damn it. Okay. Editors, give me a second. Okay. You might recall that about a week ago, time isn't real. I don't know exactly how long ago it was, but it feels like it was a week ago. Israel ordered in 24 hours for about 1 million people north of, in the northern part of the Gaza Strip to migrate down south. Now, obviously, this order was fulfilled by some, but not by many. It is simply not possible to move 1 million people down that quickly, that distance, with essentially no infrastructure. It's just not possible. Many people are still in the north, in the city of Gaza, in the Gaza Strip. Again, the city of Gaza is an area that the IDF has politely asked everyone to leave. The largest hospital, the Al Shifa Hospital in the Gaza Strip, is in the city of Gaza. You can see a cute little map right here. See? Right there. Notice how large it is? Again, the Gaza Strip is a very dense area. So you can see that the hospital grounds actually constitute a significant proportion of the width of the Gaza Strip. It's multiple city blocks. This is the primary hospital in the Gaza Strip. We don't know exact numbers, but apparently a large number of people are currently housed there, terrified of, let's get those photos up again, of this. This is also Gaza, by the way. See, typically when your opponents are following the rules of war, one of the things that you're not supposed to do is bomb hospitals, because hospitals are where wounded and even healthy civilians go to not get bombed. Since this is happening to areas of Gaza that are not hospitals, I presume many people living here decided they would be safer in the hospital grounds. Obviously, Israel does not give a shit. Despite the fact that, according to some reports, there were in excess of 10,000 people huddled at that hospital. Again, it's a large ground, many buildings. That's physically possible. We don't know, fog of war, but a lot of people are probably there. They're going to bomb it. Netanyahu posted this just today. Hamas-ISIS is sick. Really, really selling this one. They turn hospitals into headquarters for their terror. We just released intelligence proving it. Here it is. And the here it is a 3D render of a Saddam Hussein hiding in a pit in the ground under the hospital ass animation. We have the proof. This presents a crayon drawing. There it is. They found this exact room underneath this hospital. I like how this apparently the this incredibly advanced Israel intelligence report revealed that the Hamas base consists of like 5 rooms, all of which could comfortably house maybe 10 people, and a bunch of tunnels leading to nowhere. My camera is covering it, but you can see in the bottom right that they were just like, how do we make these rooms look threatening? I know. Let's stack a bunch of 7-foot-tall missiles just on the floor. And also, I bet Hamas has a range of guns on the wall, like at a gun shop. Like that's how Hamas, the ragtag terrorist group in the Gaza Strip, would store their munitions, you know? Yeah, we just have our 7-foot-tall missiles stacked down here in tight corridors where we couldn't use machinery to lift and remove them. Where are these missiles meant to be fired from? Who knows? Why do they have so many different guns arranged here in like an ornamental fashion? I don't know. But Israeli intelligence assures us that it looks exactly like this. Shoot the red barrels. Yeah, they really were. All this needed was red barrels for it to be like a Resident Evil level. Like you enter the hospital where the zombies have run amok, and then you go down, and it's like, oh, well, here's the lab where the virus was released. There was red barrels. Did I miss them? Oh, you're right. I did. Oh my goodness. I was so busy looking at the gun room, I forgot this is where Hamas stores its red barrels. This is where they place them next to their fortifications, so that it's like you could wait for them to pop up and headshot all of them, or you like shoot the barrel. You see a little bit of it like right behind the sandbags, you know. Yeah, where's the save room? You know, is this all on one checkpoint? Does it just like boot you back to the start? The flag room has to be the save room. Yeah, you can see how large these hospital grounds are. This big white border. Now, Hamas denies that they are using this hospital as a base. Israel is insisting they're using it as a base. Why? Because the IDF wants to drink Palestinian blood. They want to bathe in it. They want to blast this into powder from orbit, and then all the IDF soldiers can sort of swim around in a big pool made of it. It is a degree of bloodthirstiness that is genuinely like impossible to fathom. It's incomprehensible. It's insane. Yeah, they want to snort that shit. Now, whether or not Hamas actually has a base under the hospital is, let's be clear, completely fucking irrelevant. Okay? So this is always like the human shields argument. It's like, Hamas uses human shields. They build their bases under civilian infrastructure, which, yeah, they do. They're a terrorist group. Obviously, they do. They're not going to, like, build their infrastructure in a gigantic separate building with please missile strike us on it. However, like, imagine if it's like a bank robbery and it's like, oh, the robbers are taking human shields. And then one robber comes out and in front of him, he has sort of hogtied 20,000 civilians together into a big cube. And the cops are like, shit, guess we have no choice. And they just start like several hours of just mowing their way through this giant brick of meat before they finally make their way to the one. Like, that is the level we're on right here. If you tell me Hamas is shored up underneath the hospital, that's great. Tough problem. Sorry. You can't just kill everyone and everything, you know? There are terrorists hiding out on Earth, you know? There are limits to acceptable proportional destruction. This is insane. Yeah, the whole point of the human shield thing is that you don't just murder the human shield. Like, the reason human shields are supposed to be like a bad thing to use is because of the moral conflict of killing the civilians. But there is no moral conflict to the IDF because they don't care. They don't view Palestinian people as civilians. The best case scenario is that they all view them as complicit in Hamas's behavior, which is wrong, and the definition of collective punishment, which is a war crime. The worst possible interpretation is that they don't think Palestinians are human, which a lot of them just don't. You take a look at Israeli propaganda and Israeli messaging when it comes to the Palestinian people. Certainly, you take a look at their behavior when it comes to their treatment of Palestinian people. A lot of them just don't think Palestinians are human. Anyway, let's finish this stupid fucking 3D render. Our Intel has constructed this fucking Gmod map to we have trained our IDF personnel on the exact hallways you know, where you can get the ammo and the which crates have the health pickups in them and which ventilation shafts you can unscrew to find like bonus EXP inside. Here we go. Hamas underground complex, marked in red here. You might notice that conveniently, the Hamas underground complex seems to be spread out and diffused widely, meaning that any airstrike done against the hospital would be, you know, in the ballpark of where the red lines have been drawn. You might also note that this makes no fucking sense because it's an underground complex. What do you mean when you say it's here? Do you mean like there's a large room under here and then there's a smaller room here and they connect underground through tunnels? What does it mean to have an underground complex where above ground you're marking out these like building-sized chunks? Are you suggesting that there's one room that is the size of this entire massive building? What does this mean? It means nothing. It's all of this is fake. Literally, they just made it up. Some Israel government official, IDF guy, whatever, they literally just drew it, like on a map. Like there's no connection between Intel and this. Is Hamas stationed there? Maybe, but that doesn't mean they're not just making this up. They literally keep saying, we'll show you after the invasion. Yeah, and they cut comms. They cut telephone lines. So now They get to send their soldiers in through the north. They get to wipe out Gaza. And who's to second guess them? Who's to second guess them? The number of UN staff killed in Gaza has increased to 53 after 14 lost their lives in the past 24 hours. Jesus Christ. Like, it's like a horror show on the world stage. We have lost touch with our colleagues in Gaza. I'm extremely concerned about their safety. Another night of unspeakable horror for 1 million children in Gaza. All humanitarians and the children and families they serve must be protected. We have lost touch with our staff in Gaza, with health facilities, health workers. Like, it's dark. It's dark. The whole Gaza Strip is just dark now. Anything could be happening right now at this moment. And the Western world permits this. The Western world allows this to happen. The journalists are too cowardly to call out the people doing the killing. You know, even this language sanitizes the involvement of Israel. We have lost touch with our colleagues in Gaza. No, Israel cut contact. It didn't just happen. Gaza has lost contact with the outside world amid reports of intensified bombardment. Why are they not naming? Gaza is under tense bombing. Telecommunications have been cut out. Who did it? Who did the bombing? Who did the telecommunications cutting? Like, it's insane. Absolutely psychotic. Like we were literally like sleepwalk. Well, like the dust is going to settle. The cell blockage is going to be cleared, and it's going to be like the IDF. Unironically, the IDF is going to be like, oh yeah, sorry, Hamas killed 1,000 UN workers, Red Cross workers, journalists, and everyone else. We tried to stop them. Hamas are barbaric. And then we're like, and then literally like, and then there's going to be like a giant pile of dead Westerners, like stacked in a corner, all of which are riddled with like IDF munitions. And all the journalists who go there after the dust is settled are going to go there, look at that, and then be too scared to comment on it. Like the blatant fucking evil on display here is insane. Absolutely insane. You know, it really calls to question. People are like, oh, do you condemn Hamas? I don't fucking care. Do you condemn Israel? Do you condemn any of this? Because this isn't just like the normal opinion for a Western leader or journalist is to just be passively accepting to openly endorsing all of this. Like to find people endorsing Hamas, you either have to go to certain Arab groups in the Middle East who also really fucking hate Israel. If you're in the West, you have to find like what? Some lunatic student groups and a few YouTubers. But who endorses the slaughter of significantly more Palestinians and Western journalists, humanitarian aid workers? Well, that's like everyone. Everyone's fine with that, actually. Everyone's totally fine with that. It's genuinely it is insane. It's actually insane. And you know what? I'm going to pull this. I'm going to pull this one for sure. I am, you know, I think that like this is like a moral high ground that we can no longer hold with regards to Ukraine, Russia. Okay. Fully support Ukraine, fully support the Palestinians. But what Israel is doing and poising to do right now genuinely is like as bad as the more monstrous reports of what Russia has done. Like what is happening here is so egregiously fucking blatant. And what's more, Russia is much more reserved when it comes to killing our people, because Russia understands, as much as they posture, if they started just randomly like fucking killing Westerners, you know, like deliberately targeting UN workers or aid workers or whatever, like full on, just flat out, just like going after them, you know? First of all, the West would condemn it, unlike what they're doing here in Israel. But second of all, Russia is fully aware of the fact that, you know, as much as they like to play the bad guy, there are limits to what they can get away with. Like, they threaten to nuke the world every other day, but they're aware of the fact that, you know, it would actually be pretty bad for them if they started like pushing that line too hard. It'd actually be pretty rough, you know? That's a tough line to walk. Israel does not give a shit. Israel is fully of the impression they can kill as many fucking people as they want. Palestinians, Westerners, they do not give a shit. Any number of people, because we won't call them on their bluff. Even though Israel is entirely propped up by the West. A British territory cleared, genocided of Palestinians for their benefit, stocked, armed, funded, defended, protected at every level by countries that just want to use it as an extended military base and a wedge in Middle Eastern politics. And they are so fucking arrogant. They are so arrogant. They have deluded themselves into believing that because they have, fuck the Iron Dome. The real wall of protection they've built for themselves is American complacency. That's the real fucking Iron Dome. What does Iron Dome do? Shoots down little bottle rockets or whatever? America shields them from the international consequences of their behavior. And we've been doing it for decades. And this is what we get. This is what we get. The Hitler particles, they concentrate and they build and they build and they build and they build and they build. And then you get shit like this. Where's that clip? Where's that fucking clip? Give me the clip. I say to myself, because I have the clip. But I have many tabs. Here we go.
I just want to ask you then about something else he said in his speech, which is about the collective punishment, as he put it, of the Palestinian people. And I want to talk about that in the context of the blockade and keeping fuel out of Gaza. I just wonder if you think that that is really necessary.
I'm very puzzled by the constant concern which the world and also Britain, I must say, Mark, is showing for the Palestinian people. And is
right off the bat, we're going to break this down bit by bit. I am concerned by the support the world is showing for the Palestinian people. Not Hamas, Palestinian people. Said right there, former UN rep, Israel's permanent rep to the UN, from, I think, like 2000 to 2008, I think.
Actually showing for these horrible, inhuman animals who have done the worst atrocities that this century has seen, and then the worst atrocities that Jews have.
Without ever mentioning Hamas, goes right from Palestinian people to animals. That's it. UN rep. Guys, this guy isn't just a Netanyahu supporter. This was the guy they were like, oh, he's reasonable and diplomatic enough. We'll make him a UN diplomat. This isn't just like some random fucking IDF-loving Israeli politician. These are the people they send to message out to us.
Have suffered since the Holocaust. I mean, when the United States reacted to 9/11, I don't remember people shedding tears for the Taliban or Al-Qaeda. Your country, Mark, actually Britain.
What happened after 9/11? Hey, what foreign policy did America engage in after 9/11 that people permitted at the time because of a sort of collective dehumanization of the ethnic and religious groups? Not even the ethnic and religious groups, okay? Fucking Osama bin Laden was from the House of Saud. He's fucking Saudi Arabian. It's like invade Iraq. Like what? And so what happened? What happened afterwards? What happened afterwards? Did anything bad happen?
Actually joined them and even sent your royals to fight in Afghanistan. When the Ukrainians reacted to Russia's invasion, I don't remember people worrying about the poor Russian soldiers and whether they had enough food. All of a sudden, when it comes to Israel, everybody is becoming a great humanitarian, totally forgetting what happened 2.5 weeks ago.
You might notice here that he is using the word humanitarian as a slur. Like, seriously, that's how he's using it. He's using it contemptuously. Like, oh, look at everyone in the West becoming humanitarian now that we're bombing Gaza. He is speaking with the sort of unfiltered evil and contempt of like a classic Bond villain. Like this is genuinely the level of evil that it kind of defies this. Okay, you know how every once in a while you see a clip from like Iranian state TV or like the Kremlin, and you see like a Russian official say something so stupidly monstrous that it's like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Like how are they getting away with that? Okay, the difference is that Russia and Iran are on bad terms with the West. Israel is an American ally. This shit is coming from people who are not only sort of tolerant of us. We don't just have like because like Saudi Arabia, we're not like allies with Saudi Arabia. It's more like, we need our oil. You know, it's not good, but it's not like we like each other. With Israel, there's this like pretense of mutual love and collaboration that's persisted for decades. And this is still the rhetoric we're getting. This is still the level we're on. It's worse than you think. Like, you know, I was going to make this a separate segment, but I'm not even going to. I'm just going to add it in here. Okay. Yeah, okay. Have any of you guys seen on Twitter this trend of Israeli TikTokers who are doing makeup challenges where they make themselves look like Palestinians who have been shot or bombed? And it's like, haha, look at these stupid fakers or whatever. I don't know how common it is exactly, but it's common enough to explain what we're about to look at. A conspiracy theory in Israel is that the Palestinians are faking it. It's basically like the exact same thing as I'm trying to think of something so evil that it's comparable. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, I'm kind of coming up on a blank a little bit here. Sorry. Yeah, the joke is like the idea that a lot of Israeli people seem to have is that the Palestinian people are like they have the same attitude towards the Palestinian people that extremely racist white guys had towards black slaves 200 years ago, where they thought that like slaves were living on the white man's patronage and they were living like lives of whimsy and carefree lack of responsibility because, oh, they have to do some work, but they get free accommodations and blah, blah, blah. It's literally like the minstrel show idea of what slavery was, where it's like, oh yeah, what do slaves do? Well, they like fuck each other, they go around the plantation, it's beautiful out, and they like eat watermelons or whatever. Yeah, fucking yeah, haha. That it's literally that attitude towards the Palestinians, where it's like the Palestinians get everything from us. We give them their food, we give them their water, we give them their power, and they just sit in there in the Gaza Strip and fire rockets at us. And now they're pretending that we're killing their civilians, when in reality the IDF is engaging in incredibly targeted airstrikes against Hamas bases. I'm not even going to show the fucking TikToks. I have it here. It's literally like Israeli women, and they're painting themselves up like there's been a bomb that's gone off in front of them, and they're doing like over exaggerated crying motions where they're pretending to be effectively like Sandy Hook. It's like, that's it. It's like the Sandy Hook people. Yeah. Imagine if like there was a group of women who really liked Alex Jones, and they were like, hey, Sandy Hook kid challenge, and they take their kid and they're like, here, we're gonna make you look like one of those crisis actors. And they like make it so they have a fake bullet hole in their head with like red makeup or something, and the kid like pantomimes like being dead or something. That's what is happening. And anyway, the reason I'm saying all of this is because this isn't just some errant offhand like cracknut Israeli conspiracy theory. This conspiracy theory was posted by the @Israel Twitter account. They've since deleted it, but that doesn't undo it. Fake news alert. The devil works hard, but Gaza's film industry works harder. Meet Saleh, terrorism supporter, singer, and actor. You may have seen Saleh a lot recently because he has miraculously been everywhere. Where have you seen this rhetoric before? Here's a video of Saleh celebrating Hamas rocket launches at Israel. I'm not even going over this. Here's another video of this star on his deathbed a couple days later after an alleged airstrike. Notice anything strange about the machines behind him? Most of the machines are disconnected, and the ones which are have fake stats. So that's the @Israel Twitter account, and that is just Sandy Hook rhetoric. Literally, it's like, look at, here's my evidence that there are crisis actors. I saw a video of this dad whose kid was killed at Sandy Hook, but look, 2 years later at this other thing, here's a guy who looks kind of the same. Those two photos weren't even the same person? No, they weren't. But like, yeah, obviously. Israel has been engaging in this protracted propaganda campaign directed mostly at us. If you take a look at the @Israel Twitter account, it's almost entirely dedicated to like, God, these like, didn't I reply to one of these? Let me find it. It's just incomprehensibly evil. Let me find that one. Just let me find it. Oh yeah, here we go. This one's an immediate banger. Okay. From the @Israel Twitter account, they who must be named, Hamas equals ISIS, and it's Voldemort. It's an AI image of Voldemort shocked to tears as he sees what Hamas has done to Israel. That's the level we're on at the moment. I think they did one with Thanos as well, where it was like, let me see if I can find it on their account. Where, where it's like, yeah, right after killing half of all living beings in the universe, he saw what Hamas did in Israel. I can't find it. Fuck. Whatever. Voldemort would be 100% pro IDF here. Yeah, of course, obviously. Though J.K. Rowling is like a massive Zionist because she's generally evil. So, like, obviously, yeah, that tracks. The ISIS leaders view Hamas as an inevitable enemy. Yeah, no, Hamas is not the only okay, like all of the propaganda shit that they're posting, all the like the lines, the shit they're going for, all the rhetoric that they're employing are meant for Americans. People pointed this out, you know? Like the Israel account posted this as well. Some of you have a short memory, we don't. 07/10/2023, which in America, this is July 10th, 2023, not October 7th, 2023, which is weird because if you take a look at all the shit they've been posting, of which there's plenty of corpses, so I can't just scroll through it, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, it's miserable. Like the clear effort here is to try, like desperately try to keep Americans believing that it's anti-Semitic to criticize Israel. And the reason they're doing that is because they're aware of the fact that the only reason Israel can get away with this is because the Western governments back them. If Western governments failed to support this, just flatly called them out, and the politicians knew they could do that without incurring like the wrath of their voters or whatever, it would be over for Israel. It would be over. Because again, they're nothing without us. Nothing. They're nothing without us. We could do anything at all to stop them. We have all the power in this situation. We're the United States of America. It's insane. I guess to run flat on just ways to repeat over and over how evil this all is. It's just frustrating to see this all play out in real time, you know, sleepwalking towards oblivion. The most obvious genocide ever is happening. Like the most objective fucking genocide imaginable is taking place. It's so clear and obvious and transparent. And it's just, we just march towards it, you know? And this is, you know who else is going to suffer? There are two primary groups that are suffering from this. And the first is, of course, the Palestinians. The second is global Jews, because what Israel is doing here is massively anti-Semitic. Israel is screaming from the top of its lungs, as loud as it can, we are Jews. Jews are us. Everything we do is what Jews do. Criticizing us is criticizing Jews. And a consequence of that, and Israel being massively fucking evil, is a huge backlash against Jewish groups across the world. Already hate crimes have risen. People have doubted this. Why would you? Obviously hate crimes have risen against Jewish people. Israel is doing monstrous shit and screaming from the top of their lungs, hey, by the way, we, the representative of all Jews in the world, are the ones responsible for this. Jews are going to suffer massively from this. Globally, it's going to be really, 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 really bad. And Jews already suffer from hate crimes enough. They don't need the help. It's miserable. This is why it's especially important for us Jews to speak out against this. Yes, I fully agree. And to the credit of the American Jewish community, they have protests from American Jews against what has been going on in Gaza have been, well, certainly louder than they were in previous years. I remember seeing, was it in a government hall or was it in a train station? There was a great big protest just earlier today. There's also not enough Jews calling out Israel, though. It's not the responsibility of Jews to call out Israel. It's everyone's responsibility. Don't put that burden on them. That's the problem. Ah, yes, here we go. Grand Central Station in New York, which, as we all know, is the real Israel. Quite a lot of people. You know, I will say there is some good news, and it's that I don't think Israel's propaganda is working that well. If you take a look at Twitter, Hitlerville, not great. If you take a look at Twitter, basically every post from Israel and from Netanyahu is getting ratioed. The protests against what Israel is doing have been quite a bit larger this time than they were in previous years. It's still not like enough, not even close. But I think that Israel is going to lose the propaganda war here. I don't think they're going to be able to. For like, keep in mind, they've already killed dozens of humanitarian aid workers and UN workers and journalists. I think that like they're so indiscriminate here. I don't know if they can escape the consequences of their barbarism. It sucks that celebrities are retarded, though. Well, a lot of celebrities are very wealthy and sheltered, and a lot of them are Jewish, because, you know, Hollywood does have a lot of Jewish people in it. And very much like with Scientology, there has been a protracted effort by Zionist groups to kind of groom celebrities into a pro-Israeli position. Because, like, celebrities don't give a shit. They're, like, super wealthy. They're detached from reality, whatever. But much in the same way that Scientology does, it's like, oh, if we want to promote our cause, like one of the best ways to do that is to get celebrities on your, you know, on your side, and bring them over. I'm an ex-Scientologist and it's rough. Jesus. Is the term Zionist appropriate to use in mixed company or public? I don't know. I personally do not think that we should cede the term Zionist entirely to the anti-Semites. I think that if your criticisms are principled, listen, Israel has made itself easier to criticize now than it ever has been in all of its history, save for perhaps the Nakba, all the way back when it was formed. If you say I am an anti-Zionist, and then you say, hey, you know, because of all the genocide they're doing over there, I think that's a very defensible position. See what they linked that's funny? Is any of this funny? Oh yeah, I saw Amy Schumer has been like insane about this, but nobody liked Amy Schumer to begin with, so that's fine. Israeli propaganda is seems to be very successful here in Germany. Yeah, well, you guys are so apologetic. Yeah, unfortunately, because like a significant number of Nazis are going to benefit optics-wise from this because they're going to disingenuously frame their anti-Semitism as pro-Palestinian sentiment. Jackson Hinkle, I think, is the #1 most viewed account on Twitter right now, though I think a lot of that is bot spam. The pattern of his growth certainly seems to be bot spam. So that's going to be a big boost for them as well. By the way, if you're ever arguing with a Nazi who thinks that like the left is controlled by Jews or whatever, like the left and cultural Bolshevism and like all the shit we do, can you ask them why it is then that the left is like uniformly anti-Israel? Like, how does that track? Because that's like the main conspiracy theory that Nazis have about leftists, that leftism and progressivism and liberalism are all Jewish conspiracy theories to weaken the West by introducing degeneracy into our culture. So why is it then that left-leaning people, basically completely uniformly, with very few exceptions, are rabidly anti-Israel? You know, how does that track? Ask them for me. I'm curious. Please explain why the U.S. and West support Israel so hard. Logical Pretzels, you've been here for multiple such explanations. Can we take a look at Fetterman flushing his career down the toilet? Yeah, Fetterman seems to be a really fucking big Zionist. Which is weird, but like, okay. I guess he's not cool anymore. He's been like really posting about it. Yeah, somebody spray painted Free Palestine on a high school wall. And Fetterman said, this is reprehensible. The only thing that belongs on a wall right now is this. And it's like the kidnapped Israelis in Gaza or whatever. Which, fuck off. See, he's got this on his wall. This is fucking stupid. You've seen people being like, bro, why are you tearing down these kidnapped Israeli people posters in your college campus in fucking Michigan? It's like, why'd you put these up? What, you think Hamas has a tunnel that leads all the way over to here? Like, why'd you put these up? And the reason they put these up is, of course, propaganda. In reality, we could have 100 times as many posters for all of the dead Palestinians, except wait, because Gaza is a fucking prison camp, we don't have photos of all of them. There were people who were born, lived, and died in Gaza who will never have a photo taken of them because the shithole they were confined to by Israel is so fucking low tech compared to the state oppressing them that we don't even have full documentation of their existence. We couldn't even provide photos of everyone who was killed. They also put these up so they can film people tearing them down. Yeah, it's just a propaganda game. It's just a propaganda game. Sickening. Sickeningly evil. This is insane. The Israeli right is currently trying to pass a law that will authorize the police to shoot Israeli protesters of the war. Is that true? Breaking news here. The police promote live shooting against roadblocks and troublemakers. This is Google Translate, by the way. So, in the evening news at Con 11, it was reported the police are promoting the move out of fear that during a war, Arabs in Israel will block IDF convoys. Ah, yes, there are a good number of Arabs in Israel, and I guess they're like, well, we should be able to kill them too, because what a genocide has to involve purging all the Arabs within our borders, not just the ones that are held up in the Gaza Strip. Of course, of course. The police and the Ministry of National Security want to allow the use of live fire against rioters who block roads during an emergency. This is in preparation for the possibility of a campaign in which Arab Israelis will block roads for IDF convoys to pass through, and is a lesson from the Guardian of the Walls. Hey, remember when Tiananmen Square became like a decades-long symbol of Chinese authoritarian repression from like blocking military movement, and now Israel's like, yeah, what if we could just kill people who are in front of our tanks? This is from before the attack on the 7th? Oh, shit, you're right. This is from the 3rd of October. This is before the... Huh. Interesting timing. Well, they've only requested. It hasn't actually been granted. I wonder why Fetterman is such a massive Zionist. Took $250,000 from pro-Israel special interests, according to Open Secrets. Nice. Super cool. Did you talk about the brand new ethnic cleansing plan from an Israeli think tank written by a leader in Netanyahu's party? Israeli think tank lays out a blueprint for the complete ethnic cleansing of Gaza with ties to Netanyahu, promoting the unique... Oh, yeah, I did see this. They were like, they are promoting the, quote, unique and rare opportunity, end quote, for the, quote, relocation and final settlement of the entire Gaza population. I really appreciate their inclusion of the term final, as if this couldn't all get obvious and blatant enough. Essentially what they're saying is, wow, since we conveniently had an excuse with Hamas, like, provoking us and all, what if we just, like, took the opportunity and cleansed it all, let's just put forward a solution that is final to our Gaza problem, our Palestinian question, one might say. Neat. Anyway, yeah, the moral high ground of the West, which never really existed, of course, but the immediately perceptible moral high ground of the West over a country like, say, Russia just no longer exists. The plans that Israel has designed for the Gaza Strip are more monstrous than anything Russia would do in Ukraine, purely because it would be really stupid for Russia to just annex and then literally kill everyone there or send them through. Like, we're talking about levels of blatant and monstrous. I guess, like, there's not even any abstraction to it. At least Russian propaganda outlets have the decency to lie about this shit, you know? Like, you look at what Russia is saying and they're like, "Oh yeah, you know, we're protecting people in the Donbass from ethnic cleansing. Oh, 3-day special military operation. Oh, we're trying to denazify Ukraine." And then with Israel, they're just like, "All right, lads. Actually, there are Hamas bases underneath every hospital and every food center. And also, no power, no communications. We're going to kill 50 million UN fucking foreign aid workers. Let's go, let's go. Oh, also, what if we just killed literally all of you?" You know, it's just so fucking blatant. It's so fucking blatant. More labor officers have resigned. That's good. Israel wouldn't threaten to nuke the West, so I think they win the peace awards in a race with Russia. Fucking no. First of all, of course they wouldn't threaten to nuke the West. We're the ones backing them. They have threatened to use nuclear weapons before. In fact, Israel nearly started a nuclear conflict. Was that 1973? I'll go into the details on that later. Speaking of threats, Saudi Arabia is threatening the U.S. because of the invasion. Saudi officials have firmly warned the U.S. in recent days that an Israeli ground incursion into Gaza could be catastrophic for the Middle East. In discussions with their American counterparts, Saudi officials have framed a ground war as a potentially devastating blow to stability in the Middle East. How is that them threatening us? They're correct. Saudi Arabia is correct. We are allowing the Middle East to further destabilize by abetting and enabling what Israel is doing. We are fully morally culpable here, you know? We are completely on the ticket. Search up the Samson Doctrine. It calls for indiscriminate nuking. The Samson option is the name that some military analysts and authors have given to Israel's deterrent strategy of massive retaliation with nuclear weapons as a last resort against a country whose military has invaded and or destroyed much of Israel. Yeah, the basic, the extremely stable, like very normal sort of military strategy there is like, you know, if you try to destroy us, if you destroy our Holy Land, which what they're doing to Gaza is happening right now. They're destroying it fully. But of course, Gaza doesn't have nuclear weapons. Is we'll just like end the world, basically. Samson brings the temple down on top of him. Ah, how cute. One Biden administration official said it was evident the Saudis did not want an Israeli invasion of Gaza. Well, look, man, it's fucking happening, bro. The ground invasion has started. So we'll see how it goes, I guess. Cool. What would be your argument to counteract this tweet? What? Is this a tweet or is this 50 tweets? This is 50 tweets. Nope. How would you counteract it? Say leftist meme and then ignore them. Are they getting arrested at Grand Central? Oh, there we go, I guess. Hundreds of Jewish Americans calling for ceasefire are getting arrested at Grand Central Station. Cool, love that. To be fair, they're getting arrested on purpose. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's civil disobedience, but that's all part of the process, right? The fact that it's expected doesn't change the fact that, well, that it's expected, which is the point. Do you think it'll be better or worse if the IDF gets stomped and lose a lot of soldiers? They're not going to get stomped. There's no... IDF's not going to lose here. There will be a lot of, like... If Hamas even puts up any fight, there will be a lot of, I don't know, bloody back and forthing, trying to hold block by block. But, like, they've already raised a lot of the territory from the air. The main point of the ground invasion is so they can kill as many people as they want without there being, like, journalists around to take videos of it, because they'd kill the journalists. Are we the baddies? Yes. All right, let's move on from this stupid fucking topic. Remember when you were making fun of Europe for banning anti-Israel protests and how that doesn't happen in the US? We haven't banned anti-Israel protests. They were engaging in civil disobedience, which led to them being arrested. That was not a law that bans anti-Israel protests. Is there a way that we can help? No. Nothing I'm aware of. I mean, I don't know. There's a million things that you can do, but like most of what you have to do is watch, basically. Stop linking. All right. Now on to maybe less depressing news, if only because fewer people have died. Mass shooting, haha, woo! Let's get to the important part, okay? Army reservist killed a bunch of people, and curiously, still at large. You know, normally they shoot themselves or get killed in a standoff, but he's actually still at large. 18 people dead. You know? Very rare that we get these mass shootings where they still, you know, running around out there. Now, I know you guys are wondering. You're wondering, what's this guy's ideology? You know? What ideological disposition would lead someone to... He's a conservative. Obviously. He's a conservative. Just flat out, just conservative. Every conservative account. Before the info got scrubbed, there was a big... Yeah, it got taken down. What, was it... Did Elon just flat out take down his Twitter to try to cover up for conservatives? Why would his Twitter get taken down? Like, he's on the run. Like, why... He was an Elon fan as well. I'm almost certain the only reason his account would get taken down is because it implicates conservatives. And Elon, because he's a fan of Elon. I don't know. Like, there's Cat Turd, classic. There's Elon Musk, Tesla owner, Silicon Valley, of course. He's just a conservative. He's just like a median conservative. No, Twitter has taken down the accounts of shooters since way before Elon days. Is that true? I don't remember that happening before. At least not under this... Like, you're kind of deleting evidence, right? Like, wouldn't that information be... It is true? Okay. Then I don't recall that, but, you know, it doesn't change the fact that before it got taken down, he conservative, just all conservative, you know. Median conservative too. I don't even think he was a Nazi or whatever. I I think he's just like, this is just what conservatives are like, you know? They just kill lots of people. They love doing that shit. Breaking. World Athletics bans trans biological male athletes from women's sports. There's Wall Street Silver. Jim Jordan, Jordan B. Peterson. Classic stuff. I think there's a sort of pointed honesty to this as well, because normally mass shooters leave manifestos, but I think at this point, just being a conservative is a manifesto. Like, because normally you think like, well, why did he do this? And I think that if you earnestly believe all the shit conservatives say, that is a manifesto. Like, just being a mainstream median conservative involves believing in so many conspiracies that if you just wrote them all down plainly, literally just watched a week or so of conservative media, wrote down what you got from that, that would just be a normal ass manifesto. You know, you don't have to be exceptional to be a conservative and a mass shooter. Of course, because we don't have a manifesto, to my knowledge, I haven't seen one, that also means we don't have a motive. I don't know whether or not there is any specific political motive. This person had mental health issues, pretty significant ones. The only point I think that is worth proving here is that conservatives are mentally ill and unstable, something that I genuinely, truly do believe. They are a threat to society, and it is morally imperative that conservatism as a concept, certainly in its current form, be eradicated from civil discourse, because it makes monsters of men. It's monstrous. I don't know. Who knows what the actual inciting incident could have been? Maybe he, I don't know, he jerked off to some porn and then he saw the title of the video and it was like a trans woman or something. Who cares? It doesn't matter. I think that it's probably safe to treat all conservatives, especially people who are really into it, as just kind of mass shooters to be. At the very least, they are, it's like a warning sign that they're showing you. They're alerting you beforehand. Conservative mass shooters are actually unexceptional given their overwhelming representation of domestic terrorists in the USA. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, you see, people like give you shit for assuming, but if there's a mass shooting and you assume it's a conservative, that is a statistically defensible assumption to make. Obviously that doesn't mean it's the case for sure. I'm just saying, man, they sure are overrepresented, there sure are a lot of them. I wonder why that is. Next mass shooting, just refer to the shooter as an average conservative. But he is! Literally! That's true, though! That's not even a joke! It literally, from his Twitter feed, he was just like a normal conservative. There was nothing exceptional about it. What to know about him? Here. Who is the suspect? 40-year-old Robert Card of Bowdoin, Maine. Bowdoin or Bowdoin? Probably Bowdoin. In the attack at Lewiston that left 18 people dead and 13 people injured. Maine State Police say Card is wanted on 8 counts of murder. 10 victims remain unidentified. Okay, well, Still at large, armed and dangerous. Nearly 2 days after the shooting, police have given no indication they have any leads into Card's whereabouts. Phenomenal police detective work here. Incredible stuff. Having a person mass murder 18 people and then get away with no leads is pretty crazy. It's possible, but still pretty crazy. 2 law enforcement officials told the AP that investigators found a note at a home associated with Card on Thursday that was addressed to his son. The officials described it as a suicide note, but said it didn't provide any specific motive for the shooting. Card's cell phone was also found in the home, and a gun was found in the white Subaru Card abandoned, the officials said. Federal agents were testing the gun to determine if it was used in the shooting and conducting a trace to determine when and where the gun was obtained. They were not authorized to publicly discuss details of the investigation, spoke to the AP on the condition of anonymity. Okay. Card's relatives told federal investigators that he recently discussed hearing voices and became more focused on the bowling alley and bar, officials said. Uh-huh. Interesting guy. Lewiston is the second largest city in Maine with a population of 37,000. What? Maine's second largest city has only 37,000 people in it. Are you kidding me? That was my tiny college town. Is it not even a real state? President Biden has ordered all U.S. flags be flown at half-mast till sunset Monday. Okay. Well. You've heard this dude was literally committed for mental issues and was released even though he wanted to stay, right? Is that true? Maine shooting, mental issues. Family of Maine shooting said his mental health had deteriorated rapidly. Many such cases. Oh, give me a video about it, sure. How about with audio?
Is in the suspect's hometown. Sam, what have you learned today? Suspect's background with guns and about potential warning signs before last night's shooting. Sam Brock is in the suspect's hometown. Sam, what have you learned today?
Leicester law enforcement says a gun was found in that white Subaru. They are
shocking.
Looking right now to see if it's the same weapon that was used in the mass shooting, as we are hearing from the Card family, who says that they alerted authorities that this is someone who needed help.
In Robert Card's hometown of Bowdoin, Maine, area-wide shock.
It's mind-blowing. Everything about it it's unbelievable. I mean, why this is going on and why this happened.
Even as the suspect's own family reveals chilling details about the decades-long Army reservist. His sister-in-law telling NBC News they alerted police and military officials that Card was experiencing an acute mental health episode.
You always get these after mass shootings where like, again, I keep saying there's this mythology of like the mass shooter being this like deceptive, intelligent agent of chaos who emerges from nothing. When in reality, every fucking time this happens, the media does their circuit, and everyone who knew the guy is like, yeah, we like actually put in like 50 police reports, and everyone knew he was like losing his shit, and like everyone was warning, but like we couldn't do anything because the hospital wouldn't keep him, and like nobody took it seriously. Like every fucking time, dude. Yeah, this is why red flag laws are probably a good idea if implemented well. Because if somebody's acting that cuckoo, you know, I think it's probably okay their guns get taken away. There's risk for abuse, I guess, with like police targeting civil rights protesters or whatever. But I think like that's not, I don't think that's like a realistic balance of probabilities, right? You know, I think the net good probably overwhelms the net negative there. Here's a CNN breakdown of him. He threatened to shoot up a National Guard base. You know, I pardon my naivete, I feel like if you threaten to shoot up a National Guard base while being an Army reservist, you should probably be arrested? Like, that's something the cops can do something about, I'm pretty sure. Army Reserve officials reported Card for behaving erratically, and he was transported to the nearby Keller Army Community Hospital at the U.S. Military Academy for medical evaluation. Out of concern for his safety, the unit requested law enforcement be contacted. He then spent a few weeks under evaluation at the hospital, the law enforcement officials said. He'd also threatened to shoot up a National Guard base in Maine. Okay. An account on the social media platform Twitter, with Card's name and a photo that appears to be him, which has been taken offline, had a history of liking right-wing and Republican political content. Who could have guessed that a gun nut who lived on a farm and was a Army reservist, a conservative,
in the months before Wednesday's massacre, saying he'd been fitted for high-powered hearing aids a couple of months.
I think we should make insane asylums again. I kind of unironically agree. Like, obviously insane asylums in their historical context were really bad, but we do need like mental health facilities where you can be interred for a while. And have some basically like a care home, except you get thrown in there. Again, like growing up in California, dude, Reagan closing the mental health facilities in the state did so much to exacerbate the homeless person problem. It like so much so, you know. Sometimes there's just not very much else that you can do, you know. Yeah, we used to have psych wards. Now we just have downtown city streets. This guy screams MK Ultra. Oh yeah, do you think like the feds like fucking hacked his smart fridge to whisper like insane right-wing schizo shit in his ears? We still have psych wards, lol. You mean in California? We have far fewer than we need. In ERs? No, I mean like actual mental hospitals. And psych wards are terrible.
Ago and was picking up voices that he had never heard. His mind was twisting them around. The family concerned about the mental state of someone who performs gun training.
And with what we did, meeting him and the way that he showed us how to use a weapon, and then smart.
Holy shit, this guy is a guy. Look at this fucking guy. The net baseball cap with the shades and all these patches. Demon dog. I love my crazy wife. I like that. That's cute.
He's really smart, and he's tactical.
Former Army reservist Phil Gregory says he learned how to use an M16 rifle from Card. They weren't in the same unit, but the 40-year-old left an impression on Gregory.
He knows warfare. He understands it. He may not have ever been deployed, but he's smart.
Is that... I know I'm only getting an out-of-context clip here, but I feel like that's a wildly inappropriate thing to say after he's murdered 18 people. You know? You sound like you're hyping up a villain in like a Jason Bourne movie. Like they do a big shooting and the guy's at the camera and he's like, this guy, he's not like the other guys you faced. He's smart. He knows how to hide. He knows how to go to great. Yeah, he's like the hype man, you know? Was the guy told a shooting occurred? Why else would they be talking to him? Like nothing happened, and then this guy, like a news crew comes up to this guy and they're like, hey, this guy, nothing happened by the way, but this guy, you know? He's saying it to exacerbate the level of danger he poses, I think. Yeah, I know. It's just in the context in which it's clipped here, he just seems like he's hyping him up and not like, oh man, he's like a real threat to people, you know, but it's, I'm not blaming this guy. It's just kind of funny.
He knows what to do. I think they need to soldier.
He knows what to do. Again, with no other context, it's literally, it's like hype guy shit. It's like, he's here gassing his former fucking Army reservist buddy up.
Soldiers, to be honest with you, to be here. I really do.
The assault rifle, believed to be the one used to massacre and maim at least 30 people, was purchased legally in 2023, according to two senior law enforcement officials.
Man, god damn it. This is so clearly not a gun issue. This is a fucking mental health issue. Come on. Again, I understand and even support some levels of... Looks like Destiny? Shit, you're right. Some levels of gun control and like red flag laws and stuff, but like fuck, man. I feel like people only bring up the mental health angle when they shouldn't be, and they never do when they should be, you know? Like, do we not understand? This guy was literally like going fucking crazy, like hearing voices saying he was going to shoot up a fucking National Guard base. You can restrict gun laws as much as you want, dog. That motherfucker is a danger to himself and others. No matter what, like, man. Dude, when are we gonna make the smart move and just introduce lithium into the water supply? Okay, enough is enough. All right, we need the government to just crack open a gigantic cement mixer of lithium and just dump that shit right into the water supply. Okay, make everyone nice and calm. Make everyone chill out a little bit, all right?
Briefed on the matter, and officials tell NBC News Card threatened a military base and was sent by his own commanders to a mental health care facility for 2 weeks of psychiatric treatment in July.
How could someone that fits
Does
that
lithium
profile
mess with your libido? No, you're thinking of SSRIs.
still be in possession of semi-automatic weapons?
Well, I do think that the statutes around firearms and the possession of those are pretty complex. I know there will be
It's maddening. The gun issue here is complicated and worthy of discussion, but are we really going to overlook the mental health thing? Like this guy threatened to shoot up a National Reserve base and then he just got away with it. He just got to be a free citizen after an army reservist threatened to shoot up a National Guard base, and he just like Like, clearly, mental health. Please. Like, even with red flag laws, you can do both of it. You can be like, it's a mental health issue, and I don't think people with those kind of issues should have guns. Sure, red flag his ass. Have the cops show up and get shot through the window as they see him, as he sees them approach, you know? But like, man, fuck. It's just liberals lose out on so much cultural capital by turning this into a big boogeyman so that every like would-be undecided voter who lives in the sticks thinks the Democrats are going to take their hunting rifle and shotgun away and they're going to be eaten by coyotes. Like, you could get so much more mileage out of treating this like a mental health issue and being like, you know, I think that the Second Amendment right is good and all, but if you threaten to shoot up a base of National Guardsmen, maybe you shouldn't have 15 rifles. Like, oh. I don't know, Vosh. I don't think people should. Sheckley, man, I'm not even going to read your full thing out loud. Just don't talk about guns if you don't understand guns, okay? I'm sorry. I own too many guns at this point. Just don't. Just don't.
Reviewing that information as we move forward.
Back in Bowdoin, where Cart's family has owned land for generations, childhood neighbor Richard Goddard is blindsided.
No one would have seen this coming.
Never.
Is this guy's last name seriously Gunt? Fuck, I would eat nothing. If my last name was Gunt, I would eat nothing but spinach and like water with 1 drop of lime juice in it for my entire fucking life, just to beat the allegations. But people would be like, oh, is that Ian Gunt? Can't wait to see him. And I turn around shirtless, veins rippling up my entire abdomen. I'm not giving him shit. I'm sorry. I respect this guy. Just
Never expected anything like this to happen here.
Sam Brock, NBC News, Bowdoin, Maine.
Good evening, everyone. The state of Maine is in a state of shock and fear tonight. Streets are virtually empty as residents shelter in place 24 hours after authorities say a U.S. Army reservist walked into a bowling alley and then in a bar just over my shoulder and shot and killed 18 people, wounding 13 more. Tonight, a massive search is underway for 40-year-old Robert Card. Police say he is armed and dangerous and should not be approached.
I feel like there's a decent chance the guy killed himself and he's like polluting some little fucking estuary just floating down it right now. But who knows? Whatever. Maine is like 90% woods. Yeah, imagine doing a fucking manhunt in Maine. Jesus Christ. Why would you shoot up a bowling alley? What'd the bowling alley ever do? In all likelihood, this was just like a mental health shooting. The fact that the guy is a conservative is relevant to me only insofar as I can point out that conservatives are mentally ill and mentally ill people are not the second one, really. I think being a conservative entails some degree of sort of calculated irrationality, because you cannot be rational and be a conservative. It's not possible. This isn't like an opinion matter. You have to not believe in facts in order to believe things that conservatives say. So, you know, I think there's probably a decent chance that this guy used to be mentally stable and he got sort of trapped in the right-wing pipeline where he consumed more and more insane bullshit and it made him crazier. And then in his crazy state, he just flipped out and like killed a bunch of innocent people. It's possible that the conservatism wasn't even like the inspiration for the shooting. And it's impossible to know to an extent as well. Yeah. I'm so ready for the Rambo comparisons because Rambo in the first movie was like hiding from police. Yeah, literally. It's literally the fucking Rambo. This guy was an Army reservist for 20 years. Right now, this fuck is out there in the woods, like using mud to paint his face, and he's like using like fucking cord to booby trap between the trees or whatever. Nah, he's probably killed himself. Hype Manningham some more. Jesus Christ, that's fucking Jason Bourne. It's a fucking so depressing. Here, we need a bit of a break, a bit of a mixer. Oh, speaking of a mixer, I recently got some more vodka and some mixers. I don't have much experience mixing cocktails, but I got some stuff. I got some simple syrup, triple sec, cranberry juice, lemonade, limes, you know, like basic stuff. And I made some cocktails, and they were actually really good. Why the fuck do I pay $15 from that shit when I'm out in the town? Well, are you fucking kidding me? It was that easy to make a tasty cocktail. Literally all it takes is like some vodka, some syrup, some black cherry syrup, some triple sec, some lemonade, and then like some bitters, and that's it. Like 15 bucks. I'm gonna like, I'm not even gonna pre-game. I'm just gonna game. I'm gonna show up to the bar and I'm gonna order like one pretzel and I'm gonna unveil, like as one would a concealed weapon, except in my interior pocket, I simply have my fucking cocktail mixer, which I have pre-constructed. Never buy simple syrup. It's literally just sugar and water. I value my time more than I do my money because you guys keep giving me lots of money, but you can't give me time. No, you guys give me money. You take my time. You fucking animals. All right. It takes 3 minutes to make. Damn, that's crazy. It took me 10 seconds to buy. Okay, hold on. One second. Need to get a map of the South China Sea. Why is it hard to get a good map of this? Okay, here we go. This isn't like a super timely thing. This conflict has been happening for a while, but somebody linked an article relating to it in chat, and I just thought it'd be good to very quickly go over. So you guys know about international waters, right? Basically, every country has an amount of ocean out from its land border that is their territory. And past that point, you have international waters. The reason we have international waters is because shipping trade, just travel in general, you know? It would be really, really bad if you had every country claiming every bit of the ocean for itself. It'd be really dumb. Like every country would be like, no, I have this tiny lane. It'd be like playing one of those puzzle games where you have to connect like 3 houses to 3 other houses with 3 lines without having them cross, except you're doing that with like territorial waters. Bad, very bad. Nobody got the memo for that over in China though, because China has been very disingenuously making claims to the South China Sea for decades now. The red dashes here are China's claim line. Basically, what they've been doing is they have been building artificial islands, which they are then claiming as land territory and using that to expand their sort of territorial oceanic border. You have these little white dots right here. These are disputed islands. Basically, these islands, some of them partially existed before. And by the way, like when I say, here, hold on, China, South China Sea, disputed island. Can we get photos of what these islands look like? These little parcels of land that are being used to expand outwards by dozens of miles, the Chinese territorial border. Ah, there we go. Ah, yes, here we have enough space for Disneyland and nothing else. It's just literally like a chunk of sand. And they make these artificially sometimes. Like literally, they will take big ships with sand on them and just dump it. And they're like, ah, well, this is Chinese territory. We've claimed it. We've annexed this island. And now we get an extra 20 miles out. Funnily enough, they're actually kind of doing the same thing that Israel does with its expansion into the West Bank, right? where Israel will be like, well, now that we've had our settlers like occupy these Palestinian homes, we have no choice but to expand our territorial border in order to defend them. You know, we need like a little border around them. We can't just let them hang out here. And likewise with China, it's like, we can't leave this patch of sand undefended. Are you fucking crazy? We can't just leave this here on its own. Are you insane? You know? They also like building military bases on them. They're strategically valuable in the sense that they provide a territorial grab and like airstrips, as you can see here. You can put some fuel on there and fuel up some ships. The reason China is so desperate to do this is because China gets an ungodly amount of its shipping through a strait. Let me see this. Hold on. Can I get a shipping map? China, give me a China shipping map. China's action in the South China Sea have been detrimental to the coral reef in that region, or just the local marine ecology in general. Have you heard that China's last premier just died yesterday? No, I didn't hear that, though I did know about the devastating economic consequences. Hold on, there's one particular area that China loves to get its shipping through. Let me see if I can find that, though I'm having a bit of trouble right now. Why am I having trouble? Here we go. Let's superimpose two maps next to each other, okay? So here, as we see, these dashes of red mark out the areas that China is claiming. Notice how they have completely muscled out the Malacca Strait. Gotcha, thank you. Have completely muscled out the international waters outside of the Philippines and Vietnam. Like, Vietnam and the Philippines in this area, just according to China, do not have international waters. They just have their territory and then Chinese territory. That is an insane claim. Yes, it is. And Malaysia. Yes, Malaysia as well. It is very insane. Now, here we take a look at shipping traffic in the South China Sea, and you might notice, see, again, China, right up here, a lot of red right here. You might notice that China has a lot going on over here, just a tremendous amount of stuff happening. One of the imports they rely on heavily is fuel. China does not have that much in the way of natural resources, with regards to like coal and stuff, right? It doesn't have a lot of coal. Hold on. Chinese coal imports. They love their coal. China loves their coal. 182 million metric tons of coal in the first 5 months of 2023. Up 90% year over year. They just doubled their coal imports in 1 year. Okay. How much of Chinese coal is imported? Okay, but like what percentage of it? You can never just look up stats quickly. You can never just have fun, you know? It always has to be a big thing. It always has to be a big goddamn thing. It's oil they want, coal and oil. Whatever. Here it is, the oil import. So it is oil they're relying on then, not coal. Through the Malacca Strait. Yeah, you have China over here. See, it goes through here, right around the bend, though it doesn't show in this map. Right here past Singapore. So you get a lot of that shit over here from the OPEC countries. Anyway, a lot of this is like finagly detail. The reason why it matters is because of the article that was linked in chat. China says U.S. has no right to get involved with its problems with the Philippines. You see, wacky stuff happened over here. China and the Philippines have had several high-profile confrontations in the South China Sea, most notably in disputed waters around the Second Tomo Shoal, part of the Spratly Islands. Last Sunday, a Chinese vessel collided with a Philippine boat, with Manila condemning, quote, in the strongest degree, quote, the, quote, dangerous blocking maneuvers of the vessel. Essentially, China's trying to use military force to muscle people out of the territory they claim is theirs. Now, this is, yeah, I think I was thinking of oil and biota, not coal, with regards to their massive imports. China imports over 70% of its crude oil. There we go. Keep in mind, America produces about as much oil as it consumes, whereas China, a country with far more people than America, has to import, holy shit, 73.6%? Whoo! That's got to be pricey. That's crazy. Can the other countries just build their fake islands in the same area to counter? Well, I mean, that depends. Do you think their navies could defend their territory as well as China's could defend theirs? The U.S. and the Philippines recently agreed on new guidelines for their 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. The guidelines now specifically mention that mutual defense commitments would be invoked if there were an armed attack on either country, quote, anywhere in the South China Sea. See, this all plays in pretty well with what's happening with Taiwan. China is trying to do empire shit down in the South China Sea and everything in the area, in large part because they're terrified of the consequences of a blockade. China could be brought to its knees really easily with a blockade through those shipping lanes. And as a consequence of that, they're really defensive about that area. And as a consequence of that, they're, well, you know, doing the stuff that they're doing. It's really bad and really tenuous. Keep in mind that America in the past has been willing to topple governments just to protect the business interests of corporations that are headquartered in the U.S. And, you know, what do you think China, a far larger country, would be willing to do to protect its interests with regard to this much larger weakness? You know, things have been heating up in the South China Sea for decades. It's nothing new. In fact, I remember while growing up, there was a Bond movie where conflict in the South China Sea at that time was considered topical, and it was like 25 years ago. I think it was Tomorrow Never Dies. And that was like 1997 or something. And yeah, that was like barely after I was born. So it's been an issue for a while, but I think the tensions have been ramping up a lot more recently. So it's possible that things might get really bad. It's also possible that they won't. Hopefully they don't. It's the one where James Bond has sex with a girl. That's true. I remember it as the one where there's a Chinese kung fu lady and there's a guy who dies to a drill missile. And I think I remember the opening song being a banger. I think. Yes. Yes. Well. Look up the First Island chain for more details on how we basically block them in navally. I'd be happy to. I see. Interesting. The First Island chain refers to the first chain of major Pacific archipelagos out from the East Asian continental mainland coast. Here we have red lines. If the image would like to... Man. Hey, donate to Wikipedia, huh? Yeah, thank you. Here we have red lines, which describe the chain of islands. Now, you might notice that this does a pretty good job of encircling China, right? So you've got India, you've got Thailand, and then anything that wants to reach China from down here would have to move down. Like, that's why they're being so aggressive in the South China Sea right over here. So they'd have to move down like so. And this string of islands kind of blocks that out. And then, what was I looking at? This. I was looking at this. According to a 2018 United States Department of Defense report to Congress, the People's Liberation Army's anti-access/area denial military capabilities aimed at the First Island chain are its most robust. The report also stated the People's Liberation Army's Navy's ability to perform missions beyond the First Island chain is modest but growing. How nice. For the U.S. In April 2014, the U.S. Naval Institute assessed the First Island chain as the most effective point to counter any Chinese invasion. The U.S. could not only cut off the People's Liberation Army Navy from entering the West Pacific, but also predict where they may move by trying to break through in the first place. The U.S. and First Island chain countries are able to coordinate because the U.S. military's freedom of navigation around the first chain block. Yes, so this is where we get into alliances, right? So America is on good terms with the Philippines, which is down here, and we're obviously allies with Japan, which means that in terms of our ability to move through and around their territory, our ability to coordinate information and access and movement of our ships, Vroom. We have this entire fucking wall right here, right? Yeah, we also have South Korea, which cuts off right here. So all of this is our shit. Yeah, we're on good terms with Vietnam as well. Vietnam First Island Chain Naval U.S. Agreement. That's going to cover it, doesn't it? As always, I don't get the information I want immediately. Well, that's fine. We're on good terms with Vietnam as well. I don't know where we stand necessarily with Indonesia. Isn't our relationship with Indonesia complicated? Certainly it's not just a straight up alliance, right? I don't remember that. I don't know much about Indonesia, to be honest. It's very big. A lot of islands. A lot of those alliances are because China's a huge dick. Yeah. A lot of these countries are terrified of China because it's the regional power. Does Luna Oi know that we're on good terms? I'm sure she likes to pretend that she doesn't know that. We help them start a white terror. Right, but I mean currently, you know. Might be Indonesia hates China more than us. Well, they're the bigger threat. Whatever the case may be, you know, clearly we have the upper hand when it comes to our ability to move here. If China wants to move, either militarily or with trade, it has to either, you know, go through like Japanese territory, or it has to go like right here, Philippines, or like, nah, there's like a lot of stuff it has to break through. Whereas we get the entire Pacific pretty much for free, you know? So that's cool. A June 2019 article published by the United States Naval Institute called for the Navy to establish and maintain a blockade around the first island chain if the U.S. was to go to war with China. China. Interesting. For Vietnam relations. China concerns drive historic upgrade in U.S.-Vietnam relations. A diplomatic agreement with former foe Vietnam that was, until recently, almost unthinkable. Shortly after touching down the country, Biden met Nguyen Phu Trong, I'm sorry if I fucked that up, General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam, to upgrade their ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership, the highest of Vietnam's 3 diplomatic levels. Oh, we've reached Tier 3 friendship with Vietnam. That puts us in the same category as China, Russia, India, and South Korea, a move American diplomats have been seeking for years. Further CSPs are under discussion with Australia, Indonesia, and Singapore. Nice. Does anything here apply specifically to China? A lot of it does. I can see. However, beneath the surface, China might be inclined to ramp up its aggressive maneuvers in the South China Sea or wield its economic influence as a warning sent to Hanoi. Huh. Isn't it weird that the domino theory proved wrong? Not only did the domino theory prove wrong, the opposite of the domino theory kind of ended up being more salient, I feel. Our involvement in Vietnam and shit actually ended up exacerbating like Vietnam, our invasion of Vietnam did not help us. And Afghanistan's invasion the Soviet Union's invasion of Afghanistan likewise did not help them. It was kind of, you know, it's very stupid. When will Kissinger die? China seeks new fields of cooperation with Pakistan military. Interesting. Well, okay, wait. This is getting way too complicated for my tiny brain that hurts and is sore right now. Okay. What was the lesson we learned from all this? It's bad to be bad. Yeah, that tracks. All right, moving on. Guys, good news. Remember back in 2017, there was the whole Charlottesville thing, and it was all about the proposed removal of a Robert E. Lee statue? They finally melted the statue down. That's cool, huh? After all this time, here, I think the Washington Post has a video of it being melted down, which I want to see personally. Here we go. Look at how fucking cool it looks. Let me lower the volume. There he is, going to hell. Nice. Like a jet engine lull. You gotta get metal pretty damn hot to make it melt. Elon's deleted tweet on this is unhinged. Yes, I saw this. Apparently a descendant of General Lee was like, this is an attack on my ancestors. My ancestor was a good people. And Elon Musk responded, they want your extinction. Because, again, Elon Musk, despite being the world's wealthiest man, has 40 IQ and will fall effortlessly down any right-wing pipeline he is introduced to. He has no convictions or beliefs. He just sort of uncritically accepts every line you could run down. While I didn't need a directly insulting gesture to tell me my kind is hated. So, again, my kind. So, is it a surprise that a descendant of General Lee would interpret his statue being melted down as an attack on my kind? Like, what does he mean, my kind? The Lee dynasty? No, he means white people. And, of course, Elon also means white people. There are people on the right who are treating this as like kind of a humiliation show, like almost like a show trial. Like, look at how they're mocking us. And the answer to that is yes, that is what is happening. Yes. Yeah. Yes. If you like General Lee and if you support him or promote or whatever, like anything positive there, then yes, this is being done to mock and denigrate you. Yeah, we want your heroes to burn and for you to watch. Yeah, of course. This is an insult to our legacy. Yes. Yes. Your legacy is bad. We're insulting it. That's true. So that's cool. Anyway, it is quite nice. We've talked about this before, but many of the quote-unquote Civil War statues in the United States were actually erected during the time of the civil rights protests. Essentially, you had southern cities had all these uppity black people who were running around asking for crazy things like human rights and equal treatment under the law. And the white city councilmen were like, what's gonna scare those black guys? They didn't say black guys, by the way. They said another different word that I would never say. What's going to scare those black guys off our streets? What if we memorialized soldiers who fought to keep them as slaves? And then they put up a bunch of shitty statues. There was like a map that you could see. I remember seeing it and showing it on stream before, where it's like, look at when all of these... I'm just going to find it because it's really crazy. Hold on. Map showing when Confederacy statues were erected. There was a very good map. I want to see... I want to see like the dates. This map reveals 1,747 monuments and other Confederate symbols of America's racist past. Cool, cool, cool. But show me when... Is this it? Why am I getting a call? One moment. Wrong number, I suppose? Yeah, here we go. Whose Heritage, 153 Years of Confederate Iconography. So this shows Confederate monuments, and you can see the biggest spike of them right here were in the early 1900s, and this was right around the time here, Sons of Confederate Veterans established, Plessy v. Ferguson, various Confederate memorials. Basically what happened was the Civil War happened, and then Reconstruction ended way the fuck too soon, and then enough time passed that racists in the South could pretend that the Confederacy was part of their legacy rather than it having been like a 4-year-old government. So, because keep in mind, the Confederacy wasn't a legacy for shit. It was literally just a group. It was like a seditionist group. You know, they fucking, you know, declared war on the United States. They left. But this was distant enough. This was removed enough from the time of the Confederacy that they could pretend it was some kind of like, oh no, it wasn't really about slavery. It wasn't really about a rebellion. It's like, oh, it's our, so they built a bunch then. And then of course you have, you know, this World War I, blah, blah, World War II. Immediately after World War II, you have a weird gap. You have a strange lack of Confederate memorials. And my theory on this is that World War II gave America an enemy that made it really difficult to lionize the Confederacy. Because America had just fought against fucking Adolf Hitler. And then when your enemy is literally like a eugenicist, genocidal maniac who based his principles on many American eugenicist movements, it's really difficult to then turn back around and go like, oh man, wasn't the Confederacy great? I think it just gave us like a different enemy perspective, you know? And then you see the largest surge of Confederate memorialization since the Second World War, which has not been matched since. And it was during the Civil Rights Movement. And that was because these fucking white citizen councils, these local government reps were like, I know what'll get those black people off my yard, you know? So anyway, I'm glad that they melted the statue. That's good. Yes, that's true. That's true, Imperial General. There was a lot of anti-segregation propaganda in World War II by the U.S. government. Yeah. Because as it turns out, if you want a nation to behave productively in the face of a great enemy, if you want America to, like, work well, you really don't want fucking race tensions. It turns out nations function better when you're not racist. So the government tried to do this whole, like, if you do race fighting, you're helping Hitler shit, which, I mean, is true. You know, so... Oh, the person who Elon Musk responded to was just a flat-out Nazi? Today, Elon responded to and elevated a neo-Nazi who had posted racist memes. Oh, wow, this guy's really subtle. Damn. I'm thinking right now, this guy's high IQ dog whistles might be a little bit beyond me. You know? The legacy of General Lee. Who could have thought, huh? And Elon Musk, wealthiest man in the world and owner of Twitter, replied to him agreeing with him. Nice. We have time for a bit more. Fuck, I don't want to stream today. God damn it. Wait, where's the clip? There we go. Lads?
It took 4 tries, but House Republicans finally elected a Speaker of the House.
The Speaker-elect, Mike Johnson from the state of Louisiana.
Louisiana's Mike Johnson was the last man standing, cobbling together the support from a fatigued conference to win the vote unanimously and then promising to get right to work.
Yeah, that's right. They finally got a guy in. Adolf Hitler. One thing that's very frustrating to me about this guy is that he, at least in my opinion, is quite handsome. He's really selling like Clark Kent. So I can't do the normal thing where I make fun of their appearance in addition to making fun of their politics. It's very frustrating for me. But, you know, it's meant to happen. Yes, this guy is an insurrectionist, one of the top sort of advocates for Donald Trump's effort to turn back the elector votes on January 6th in order to make himself president when he lost the election. He's very bad, very bad. He's also, if you can believe it, he's a young Earth creationist, an actual one, as in truly believes the earth is 6,000 years old and everything that implies. So every conspiracy, every lunatic belief you would have to have in your head in order to justify the belief that the earth is, or the humanity is only 6,000 years old, that is in his head. He's a lunatic. He's bad on every issue you can imagine. There's really, I don't even want to like go through the bad things he believes, because he believes every bad thing you can think a Republican politician would believe. He's really, 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 really bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is actually pretty bad for Democrats, because I don't think Republicans would have put him forward if their intention was to play ball with Democrats, so to speak. You know, he's not exactly the middle of the road, bipartisan, moderate candidate. That being said, there are some notes that you can take away from this, okay? First of all, this I find most interesting, okay? The behind-the-scenes, get your shit together locker room prep talk that Republicans must have had to do to get this guy through must have been fucking biblical. After so much in the way of failing to get somebody put forward as a House Speaker, the Republicans had to whip the shit out of their guys to get them all together on this one. That, to me, suggests a level of desperation. They clearly weren't willing to keep the circus going for that much longer, which is a reaffirmation that the circus made them look pretty bad. You know, it's a state they wanted to escape, if nothing else. Additionally, the fact that they chose this guy specifically means that they're more worried about the far-right people in the GOP pulling away from the majority vote than they are from then they're worried about dealing with like mainstream moderate quote-unquote neocon Republicans. Of course, the mainstream Republican these days is like a crazy MAGA fascist, but it doesn't seem like they're that worried about the neocon types, the rhino types, because if they were, they wouldn't have put this guy forward and he wouldn't have won. So yeah, the line is very blurred right now. The line is very, very blurred. He did say something interesting. Wait, Mike Johnson race. He said something. Let me see if I can find that clip on Twitter. He said something wacky. Can I find it? Please let me find it. Oh, here we go. I saw this very interesting clip.
And through all these ordeals over the last couple of weeks about the difference in the experiences between my two 14-year-old sons, Michael being a Black American and Jack being white, Caucasian. They have different challenges. My son Jack has an easier path. He just does. The interesting thing about both of these kids, Michael and Jack, is they're both handsome, articulate, really talented kids, gifted by God to do lots of things. But the reality is, and no one can tell me otherwise, my son Michael had a harder time than my son Jack is going to have simply because of the color of his skin. And that's a reality. It's an uncomfortable, painful one to acknowledge. But
he's woke Hitler. Following the murder of George Floyd, he, like, offhandedly, while talking about this, he expressed the belief that Black people experience systemic discrimination in the United States, which is very, very, very strange, because this is not a mainstream belief to Republicans. The mainstream Republican belief is that the racism is over and the failings of the Black community in America are entirely a product of their culture or genetics. So for Mike Johnson, Adolf Hitler too, to literally just describe systemic oppression, it's very strange. So this speaks to one of two possible things. One could be he is weirdly not as bad on this issue as he is literally every other issue, you know. The other could be that he's shiftless and lies all the time. That he lies all the time. In my personal opinion, I think that the way he's talking here does not really suggest shiftless grifter behavior. What Republican would have been incentivized to say something like this back in like 2020 or whatever? Like, sorry, not 2020, fucking George Floyd. Like a couple years ago. Like what pressure would have been put on a, I'm sorry, where? Louisiana? Right? Yeah, Louisiana Republican representative to just be like, yeah, I believe that racial oppression is real and black people experience systemic discrimination. I don't think there was any like social pressure for him to do that. I think this might just weirdly be something he, at least at that time, was not that bad on. I mean, by Republican standards.
People have to recognize that's a fact.
What should we do about that?
I think that we really do need systematic change. I think we need transformative solutions. I think we're at a moment where we can begin to do more to form that more perfect union, as it says in the first line of the.
He has a black kid. He has a black kid. Here's the older thread. George Floyd appears to have been a victim of murder. How many Republicans would have said this? May 29th, 2020. How many Republicans would have said this? Like none. A close review of the video can lead to no other conclusion. The tragedy has focused spotlight once again the plight of millions of black men in America. It's real heartbreak and must be addressed. It's woke Hitler. We are all God's children, and we are all Americans. Here is a simple truth. Racism violates the most fundamental principles of our great nation and the rules of our Creator. This guy's a young Earth creationist, and he's like, yo, God did not create the Earth 6,000 years ago for you bitches to be racist on it. Holy shit. Any fool who contends he has a natural right of supremacy over his neighbors violates not only the foundational creed of America, but the greatest commandments of our Heavenly Father. Good Lord. So it's because he's got a black son? Is that why? Like he has a more personal experience with racism? That's interesting, The main thrust of the current GOP propaganda machine is about trans people, but race issues have always been a huge part of it. It's very funny to me that they would get this radical, crazy Christian conservative who's weirdly woke. It makes me wonder if this is like, if that was the bipartisan measure, or maybe not the bipartisan measure, was that like the moderate measure, right? Maybe like, hey, maybe we can appeal to the more moderate Republicans and the crazy MAGA guys at the same time. He's a crazy young Earth creationist, he's a fucking lunatic, he's an insurrectionist, so that's like pro-MAGA. But then on the other hand, it's like, okay, this guy doesn't literally want to like put black people in camps, I wonder if that was the sell, or if that was just like incidental, if it was an accident, if it's just an interesting tidbit. I don't know. I grew up in an evangelical family. I can confirm that in spite of all their other problems, evangelicals are frequently not that racist. They have a very globalist perspective because they want to spread the faith to all the people. Yeah, I'm mostly talking about the behavior of like Republican politicians, because Republican politicians basically down to a man deny the existence of systemic racism. They have to. Because like if they give up the game on that, like that's like that's like hugely important to their messaging. So, yeah, it's also worth noting that generally speaking, the way that evangelicals are anti-racist is with that like very patronizing, invalidating, we're all equal in God's eyes. And thank God America doesn't have racial problems. Like it's like, yeah, I'm anti-racist, and thankfully so is America. We're post-racial, right? So like they're anti-racist, but they still have to deny the existence of racism in order to enable the whole like myth of meritocracy shit. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Honestly, it's pretty wild. Like we'll see how it goes. It's wacky. It's very wacky. Yeah. All right, I'll do a full segment on this tomorrow when I do a stream that hopefully I feel less terrible for. But just a quick little boost of serotonin before I go. Twitter's daily active users have been fucking plummeting since Elon Musk took over. Like, absolutely collapsing. Like, every other social media space has been growing And Twitter has been plummeting at an ungodly and an increasing rate as well, which is why Elon Musk has been focusing on metrics like user minutes or whatever, you know, stuff that are arbitrary shit he controls. Was the peak when Musk bought it? No, he bought it right here in October 2022, right? And then it went up a little bit, and now it's all this shit. Down to nearly minus 20%. That is insane. That is... Ah, there we go. Yes, thank you, Posadas. A more accurate map. All right. I'm really sorry about the general attitude from today's stream. I don't mean to be unenergetic. It's just, yeah, I just physically have felt dog shit today. I did want to show you guys something cool that I did that I like. Actually, I can show you two cool things because I made 2 Lego builds. You can see one of them right behind me. This is the one you can't see. Look, it's a little autumn, you know, like flower display that I think is really cute. Yeah, and then we have this thing. This thing is huge. It's huge. Ah! The helmet fell. Ain't it cute? Beep beep. Ah. And the little helmet. Is that Haruko's? Haruko had a yellow one. We raiding Demon Mama? Actually, we're reading Donos. Anguish, thank you for the $15. Stay sane. I'll try to. I appreciate that. Leafar, we will be talking about Hassan Minhaj when we have time. When I have time. Thank you for the 5. Imperial General, thank you for the incredibly kind Tier 4 sub. I really appreciate that. One thing that frustrates me about people who decry the U.S. increasing tensions with PRC usually have no idea what the South China Sea dispute or even what the 9-dash line are. Yeah, I think... Again, this is one of those like American Diabolus things, but a lot of people really fail to understand how much of the escalated tensions from China, or sorry, between US and China are from China. It's like Russia as well. Like if you simply said tensions escalate between US and Russia, that would really kind of paper over the fact that Russia threatens to nuke the world every other day, you know? China escalates a lot of shit. The Bread Boy, thank you for the $5. Make yourself an Aperol Spritz. I have a lot to learn when it comes to making mixed drinks. I'll keep trying to learn. Tilosalot, thank you for the $10. One shot Saint Germain, one shot Hendrix Floral Gin, 1/2 shot honey syrup, 1/2 shot rose water, 4-ounce cherry blossom LaCroix. Fucking phenomenal. I'll have to see. I tend to like really sweet or sour drinks, like fruity stuff, you know. That's what I tend to gravitate towards. Shaky09 and Stuff Slacker, thanks to the Tier 1 subs. I don't know what it would take for America to end its unconditional support for Israel. XLR, thank you for the Tier 2 sub. Much appreciated. Sake, thank you for the 5 Tier 1 subs. Really appreciate that. Vosh is right. There's way too much sexualization of femboys, causing them to be super overrated. We need to sexualize bears. It would probably be a step in the right direction. Teletech, thanks to the Tier 4 sub. Chilling words? What the fuck? Der Überbangen Theorem. Sheldon, no, oh. It's been playing audio, but it hasn't been because I didn't press the button. This would probably be a lot funnier with the audio.
Hitler? 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 Ja? Versingen. Hitler?
All right. If there is some underlying joke there that I'm not picking up on, I hope some people in chat seem to like it. I'm glad they do. I'm happy to see that. Mean Former, thank you for the incredibly kind $50. I really appreciate that. 2 weeks to go until my school board election night. We got 4 Moms for Liberty running against the 4 of us. Wish us luck. Oh, shit. Good luck. Like, big time good luck. God damn. Seriously. And also, thank you for the very kind dono. Don't donate anymore. Spend it on, I don't know, winning juice. Steroids. Skunksy and Zivu, thank you for the tier 1 subs both. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Skunksy. Appalachian Anarchist, thank you for the $5. Congratulations on buying your house. That's fantastic. Having a nice space to roam around in and make changes as you like. Still Alive, thank you for the $5. Really appreciate that. Casual Bogan, thank you for the 5. It's possible to make nukes without enrichment. Yeah, they just suck. India did so using natural uranium reactors based on the Canadian Candu reactor. You separate the PU chemically. Yeah, but the level of enrichment that you get there is not great, right? I don't know. I don't know the details. I'm sorry. I don't know the details. Myth and History, thank you for the 2 donos, $10 and $5 respectively. If possible, please go over this PBS segment on Israel. I'll give it a look, but I can't make any promises. Thank you. Moose Juice, thank you for the $5. Does wearing a spandex Spider-Man costume make you a furry? Yes. Sake Tanuki with the 10 tier 1 subs. If you need a feel-good, hilarious segment, oh no. No. Mama JF disappearance, why JF Gariepi is innocent. No, thank you. Nice try. Nope. Not for 1,000 donos. My goodness. Liquid Silver and Chicken Warrior, thank you for the $10 both. I really appreciate that. How would you keep a religious state from backsliding into reactionary views without the suspension of democracy for a period of secularization? I think there are a number of ways that you can do that, but like I guess like first and foremost, it would be like constitutional changes that prevent like religious motivation in political reasoning, maybe. I don't know. That's very complicated. It can be done, right? I mean, it's happened in many countries. Main shooter found dead. Oh, like right now? Breaking. The shooting suspect in Maine has been found dead. Multiple sources tell CNN. Killed himself. Yeah. Main mass shooter is dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. There we go, everyone. Everyone who called that and agreed with me, we're all smart today. Yep. Shot a bunch of people. The voices told him to do it. Ran into the forest. What else is he going to do? He's going to shoot himself. What is he like? Yeah. Predicted that one. Fucking Columbo shit. The cop should fucking ask for my consult next time this happens. Pro Convo Man and Chicken Warrior, thanks to the 5 both. Really appreciate that. Deep Sea Fission, thank you for the $25. That's very kind of you. This is an older dono. There's older donos. Senuous Psychosis, thanks to the $5. I own Hellblade Senuous Sacrifice. I just never played it, Senuous. Can't promise I'll play it on stream, but it's in the list. The Steak Sauce 1, thanks to the $15. Hello Vomch. First time dono, I love your streams. Thank you. I like them too when I don't feel like ass. Holdo Real, thanks to the tier 1 sub. I'm very sorry. I was able to get my Adderall. I hope you can soon as well. OS Crane, thank you for the $5. Really appreciate that. Referring back to how non-toxic this community is, the community is the biggest reason why I had the courage to come out. Nice! Well done, everyone. You helped OS Crane come out. Ham Monkey, happy birthday. Ban Edible and Peacekeeper 11, thank you for the 5 both. Happy 5-year anniversary, Froggish and Peacekeeper. And I'll take a look, Peacekeeper, thank you. You should DM me that in Discord so I remember. Valabelle, thank you for the incredibly kind tier 4 sub. While phone banking, one of us got Sylvia's call. No shit. I think we got through 26K calls these past few days. Was very nervous, but was able to convince a couple people. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. Unfortunately, Sylvia did lose the race, but that's okay. You know, when you get involved in stuff like this, there are never any guarantees, and you do get stronger every time you try. Not only, you know, did we set a good precedent, but we also got some experience. I say we as though I was phone banking. I wasn't. Derain, thank you for the $5. Loverworm, thank you likewise. Fair Quinn, thank you for the 5. Thank you for covering The Voice here in Australia. Yeah, it's a complicated issue. I'm really sorry it panned out the way that it did. Socialist Satyr, Intern, and Nuts, thanks to the tier 1 subs. Horizon and Bass Ackwards, thank you for the 5 both. Really appreciate that. Yes, I believe so, Bass Ackwards. Horizon, congrats on your 5-year anniversary of being on HRT. Anguish, thanks to the tier 2 sub. Stay sane out there. Yeah. Nad Factory, thank you for the $10. Wanted to hear your opinion on the story and characters of Armored Core 6. From only voice acting, I connected with them so much. I'm going to be honest. I think that Armored Core 6 kind of sucked from a story perspective. I'm glad From Software made a modern version of the Armored Core games and didn't like change it so much that it became unrecognizable. And I know that there's a lot of weirdness to From Software writing that's kind of particular to their style of adaptation and translation. But at the same time, I just really didn't give a shit about the characters or what was happening. No, it was my first one, no bless. Matizaris, Zachmon, Meowshi, and Verona, thank you for the tier 1 subs. Really appreciate that. One Angry Pagan and Noblesse, thank you for the tier 2 subs. Nebuku and Appalachian Anarchist, thank you for the $5. Really appreciate those. Oh, chat, can I show you a nice item of clothing that I got that I'm very happy with? I'm going to show you anyway. I found one of these at Nordstrom Rack. It's my color. It shouldn't really be worn over something as thick as this shirt, so it's not going to settle on me properly. It's also one size too large, but look, okay? On the inside, it has this cool, like, loud arty pattern, and the sleeves are too long, which means that I can roll them up by one and get, like, a nice pop of color on the... Hold on. On the, go up, there we go, on the wrists like that, and the silhouette actually works pretty well for being oversized, you know? I think it's actually really cute. I got it for a steal too, only $100, down from 300. That's a really nice jacket, actually. Yeah, I like it quite a lot. I had an event the other day, and there was a cold snap in Seattle, so I had, like, no fucking cold weather clothing. 300 for a coat is highway robbery? No. 300 for a coat is fine. But this one was discounted. You could get far more expensive coats. Is it brown or purple? It's burgundy. My color. If you start spending more than $100-ish on your shirts, I'm going to have to put you in my Hasanabi part of my brain. This is it's $100 for a high quality. The material is excellent. Okay, whatever. The last coat I bought was $18. I'm not saying you can't get cheaper clothing. However, okay, I'm not saying that this was a purchase motivated by, like, you know, cost saving, but if you get a couple of high quality clothing articles, you can save more. That's true. Hello? How do you feel about my clothes? Ooh, he squeak. I also got some Tims. Never owned Tims before. Didn't realize they'd be that good. No wonder they're so popular. Please tell me they're the shitty classic ones. I don't know enough about Tims to say whether they are. I know, we talked about the shooter being dead. Mindforge and Poop Scoop, thank you for the tier 1 subs. Quixote, thank you for the $10. Really appreciate that. Started playing Disco Elysium and the game won't stop calling me a moralist and a superstar. Also, what do you think about the anti-status sub? Seems like an incoherent ideology. I've never seen the sub. Also, stop being a moralist. Soveball and Game Dev Reacts, thank you for the $5 both. Really appreciate that. Jason O'Connell, thank you for the $10. Really appreciate that as well. Yeah, it makes sense to me that Elon would have his factories become personality cults. 1,000 Dumplings, the $5. I'm a plus-size trans girl, and your fashion videos have encouraged me to try and branch out from just wearing black tees and sweats. Thank you, Vosh. Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, I went to like Nordstrom Rack the other day and like got a bunch of fall clothes. I got a Henley, I got 2 button-ups, one of which was a flannel from North Face actually. I got this jacket, I got 2 pairs of jeans, some red chinos, the Timbs, nice pair of socks. Yeah, it's good. Noxie, congrats on starting Estrogen. Thank you. Tim Say, thank you for the $5. Benjamin Gilbert Lift, thank you for the $10. Really appreciate that. Moxie Productions Live, thank you for the $2.49. Facetious, thank you for the $69. That's the sex number, baby. Let this sink in, baby. Elon 2024. Yeah, we're on the anniversary of that. None of your business. Thank you for the $5 and $2 both. Really appreciate that. You always have great opinions. How do you reach them? Good clothes lead to good thoughts, okay? You have to get drippy. Not a pseudonym. Thank you for the tier 1 sub. Really appreciate that. Enjoy your burrito. Music Fab and Balthazar, thank you for the 5 both. It's very kind of you. Mistress Lynn, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Maybe sometime in the future. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. I'll keep that in mind. Fantasy George, thank you for the $10. Really appreciate that. Likewise, Appalachian Anarchist, very kind of you. Sarah TBD, thank you for the $5. Very kind of you as well. Benjamin Gilbert Leaf, thank you for the $100. Jesus, man. This is from 9 days ago. I haven't read donos in a while. That's on me. Thank you. Harambas 1, thank you for the $20. Enemy Spooted, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Afro 22 and Time Memorial, thank you for the 5 both. Really appreciate that. Joshua S, thank you for the $20. Anyikto, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Thank you very much, the $5 for your viewership tax. How far back do these donos go? 10 days? Jackie Carbonneau, thanks for the $1. Jane MF Arc, thank you for the $22. I really appreciate that. Flyfish, thanks for the tier 2 sub. Adson, thank you for the 10 Australian. Really appreciate that. Still alive. Thank you for the $3. Renew Wu, thank you for the $5. Really appreciate that. Thanks, Renew Wu. Alice Payne, thank you for the $10. It's very kind of you. Fishik, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Very kind of you. Emish, thank you for the 5. Loverworm for the 5. Thank you very, very much. I did not make my V look like me in Cyberpunk 2077. Harry S. Plinkett, thank you for the $2. Balthazar, thank you for the $20. Likewise, still alive. Both of you, very kind. I really appreciate that. Nacho Fast, all my cats are named after pathologic NPCs. Thank you. Two Dad Smooching, thanks for the 2 tier 1 subs. Really appreciate that. Jack the Bruce, thank you for the $20. I'll take a look at the link, but on my time, I think. D. Quinn, thank you for the €2. Twixius, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Panic Stasis, thank you for the tier 4 sub. I really, really appreciate that. Does Bruno Mars is gay? Yes. Sigma Mayo, thank you for the tier 3 sub. That's very kind of you. Tupac Yo, thank you for the $50. My goodness, you guys. Thank you for everything you do, Vosh. I enjoy your takes and content a lot, and I want to support you since I'm using an ad blocker on YouTube. Greetings from Turkey. Thank you. You never need to feel as though it's important. It's never necessary to monetarily support me, but of course, I always very much appreciate it. Thank you. A Woo X Replica, thanks to the tier 1 sub. Loverworm, thank you for the 5. Still alive, thank you for the 5. When I play older games off stream, do you ever have your roomies watch you or ever join in? No, I play my games on my own. Tim Karados, thanks the €5. Sipping on Left Wing Lean, thank you for the $10. Very kind of you. Sake, thanks the 10 tier 1 subs. No blue name for Sake Tanuki. Curious. Albion's Hero 31, thank you for the $10. Watched Hassan segment. Would you two work together in the future in a productive, non-combative manner? I hate that 1 or 2 issues so easily divide leftists. It's not really a 1 or 2 issue thing, but I think that his behavior has been far more detrimental to any kind of constructive engagement than anything that I've done. Thank you, Atrax. Sake, thank you for the 10 tier 1 subs. Not even a defense of JF, just making fun of him. If we were to recreate all the biblical holy sites in the U.S., would that validate all the crazy Mormon lore thonkers? That's true. If we relocated Israel to Montana, that would imply Montana is the Holy Land, which would prove Mormonism correct. We have to be careful with that. They're powerful enough as it is. Levant Gongchi, thank you for the 1,000 hoofs. Kowalski from Nebraska, thank you for the $5. Congrats on your 30th birthday. Felix Argyle, thanks for the tier 2 sub. Far Eastern Myth, thank you for the tier 4 sub. Really appreciate that. We need to ask Israel supporters why they support Netanyahu, who gave money to Hamas and openly despises Palestinians. Always tie their support to him. True, though, to be fair, Netanyahu's support has never been lower than it is right now. So there is that at least. Atrax the Angler, thanks to 5. Just started my content creating journey. Nice. Great equipment, still stutter on takes, can't shake it. You get used to it. That's nice. Far Eastern Myth, thanks to the 2 Tier 1 subs. And the final dono that I'm reading today. Dick Thulu with the 5 Tier 2 subs. Thank you very, very much. As someone who agrees with you in every position, I just wanted to thank your community for giving me the courage to realize I've been right about everything. That's true. It does take a lot of courage to realize and fully accept that you're right about everything. People are always like, it's so conceited. What have you? That can't be true. But it takes a lot of heart to push through that. It's true. I think the site didn't pick up some of the YouTube super chats. No, it didn't pick up any of them. Why does that keep happening? There must be something fucky about the back and forth there. Hold on. Watson the Tambor, thank you for the $5. I have heard of that, though I'm not sure how true it is. Cactus, thank you for the 10 PLN. Am I a bad person if I hate hearing about this news? No, not at all. No, Thana, it's okay. I know it has something to do with YouTube being fucky. Coffee Lover, thank you for the $5. You hear about numerous content creators exposing the pro-Israel movement, offering to pay that. Yeah, I don't know how true that is. I'd have to look at it. Because it's pretty easy to fake stuff on this. Housecock, thank you for the $10. As one of your Jewish fans, I just want to say thank you for speaking out on the game Israel is playing with us. Broadly, I'm honestly scared for my family. I hope your family stays safe. It's rough around. Charlie Jinmir, thank you for the $10. Apparently, the UK has taken public comments about banning puberty blockers, and my UK I love that. I love the idea of like, hey, should we allow this medical practice? Let's take it to the public. What? Jesus. I'll look at it, Charlie Jinmir. Thank you for the 2 additional bucks. Watson the Tambor, thank you for the 5. Rex Gardner, thank you for the 5 as well. Sorry, Vosh called you to inform you the hair removal cream for your groin and anus are not currently available. Nice meme. Why would I ever remove the hair from my groin and anus? I have chest hair that goes up to my neck. Anyone who sees my photos and wants to fuck me is not going to be surprised or disappointed to see that I have hairy fucking cock and balls. Like what? So anyone who... So they see all of this and they're like, man, I can't wait to take this guy's pants off and see a perfectly shaven cock and balls and asshole, just like completely hairless. Darren Osborne, thank you for the 5. Metal Dragon, thank you likewise. Really appreciate that. As a native English speaker, should I learn Japanese or Russian? That's your personal preference. I don't fucking know. I don't know anything about either of them. Well, I probably know more Japanese than Russian just through cultural osmosis. SR Warner, thank you for the $5. Spencer Howard, thank you for the 2 Australian. Naomi Chance, thank you for the $5. Been watching stuff I missed from last year. It's a shame Rose Wrist walked the path he ended up walking. I don't know anything about that. I had some disagreements with Rose Wrist at a point, I think, but I don't know anything past that. I don't even know if he still makes content. Rose Wrist is a really, really, really smart guy. So regardless of whatever like political disagreements we have, I would hope, without knowing, I would hope that he uses those brains for pushing good positions. Yobly Hop, thank you for the 20 pounds. I really appreciate that. Just wanted to say I discovered you a week ago and I like you and you made me feel way more left than I was before. Wish I had someone like you over here. Greetings from Germany. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that very much. I feel bad if you discovered me only a week ago. That means that you've only been a fan of me during a period of non-existent or terrible streams. But that should change soon, I feel. Prairie Fire, thank you for the 2. Thank you all very much for the kindness, the kind words, and the donations. I really appreciate that. Yeah. I am going to send you over to... Somebody said Demon Mama is... Is that true?
Openly weird and like literally early.
Yes. So I'm going to send you all over to Demon Mama. Yeah, I saw her the other night. Went to a pumpkin fair thing. Vosh ad button? For a stream like this? No. I have standards. Good luck, guys.